Me 26F with my friend's girlfriend 25F. She wants us to leave our house so she can host a small party with her friends, my boyfriend. And I've been together for 2 years, bought a house about 6 months ago, and we've been renting out the spare bedroom to his best friend. We'll call him James. We also have a 5-month-old puppy who we got when we bought the house. James has been with his girlfriend. We'll call her Amy. For a little over a year now. She is at our house very often, and we don't mind her being there. Amy is nice, but she is very socially awkward. My BF and I have tried to get to know her, but she shows little interest in us. She never talks to us unless we say something to her, and oftentimes she shows no interest in getting to know us. Sometimes she doesn't want to say hi to us when we come home. Amy has a group of friends who we've hung out with once before, but it was hard to have conversations with them because they were all high at the time we weren't. BTW, we didn't judge, but it was hard to have a conversation with someone who clearly wasn't in the right mind to respond. But ever since then, she has never invited us to go out together ever again. We just chalked it up to her being weird, and just left it at that. James is aware that she is very particular about who she hangs out with. A few days ago, James mentioned that him and Amy want to have a get-together with a few friends at our house on Wednesday night yesterday, and wanted to know if we were okay with that. My BF and I didn't mind, because the guests are Amy's friends that we met once before. We just told them not to get too noisy and to clean up afterwards. I came back from work last night, and people are just starting to show up for the party. I briefly say hi, then go upstairs to freshen up. Then Amy comes into my room and says, "Hey, I'm sorry, but we actually want some privacy for the night. Do you think you and BF could go somewhere for a few hours?" I was confused. I told her that James asked if it was okay to have a party, and we all agreed, but nothing about us not being allowed in the house. She said that James should have made it clear. I told her, "I'm sorry, but I can't. I have to take care of the puppy, and there really isn't a place I can take him for a few hours." Her response? "Oh, you can leave him here. We really like the dog, and we'll take care of him." I told her I wasn't comfortable leaving the dog with strangers. She wouldn't give up. I simply told her no again, that she and James are free to have friends over, but that she can't expect us to leave our own home and our puppy behind. She seemed frustrated, especially when my BF came home. I kept the puppy in our room. Most of the time we have the master bedroom, and it's pretty big. I told my BF of the situation, and he was pretty confused by it as, well, the party went off without a hitch and everything was fine. Or so we thought. James texted us this morning telling us that Amy was really upset that we ruined her party and humiliated her in front of her guests. Apparently when we first hung out with her friends, Amy was upset that we didn't make an effort to get to know them. She said that we weren't very friendly to them, and that's why she couldn't bring us around anymore, except when we first hung out with them they were high and couldn't even muster a response to us. But that doesn't matter apparently. Amy didn't want us hanging out with her friends because she didn't think we would get along based on that one time. James is asking us to cut him a break and apologize to her, because she's been having a rough time and really needed this party to relax. Absolutely not. I told James that it doesn't matter how rough her life is. It's extremely rude to tell us, the homeowners, that we have to vacate our own home so she can have a party. My BF also reiterated this to him in a separate text conversation. I told James that if anything, Amy should apologize for how rude she's handled this situation, and how rude she's been in general, citing the past few times we've tried to be friendly to her, but instead she get coldness in return. I told him I'd only accept an apology from her in person, because all of this is coming secondhand from James. Amy has not said a word to us about this, whether I like it or not. James is still dating Amy, and there's nothing I can do about it. Amy will most likely be around pretty often because she lives with her parents, but I don't know how to diffuse the situation going forward. Am I in the wrong here? How do I handle Amy in the future? TLDR, our friend and his girlfriend wanted to host a few friends at a house we own and live in. Turns out the girlfriend wanted it to be a private party, and asked us to leave our home for a few hours. We said no, and now she's mad. What should I do to help resolve the situation? Relevant comments. Commenter. 1. Easy peasy. Either limit Amy to no more than 2 nights a week, or she pays rent, or banish her altogether. And under no circumstances is she allowed to invite people to your home. If she wants to entertain, she will do it in her own home. Even if she lives with her parents, she's not so socially awkward that she's above taking advantage of someone's kindness. Edit. And the more I think about her being rude to you in your own home, where she is a guest, the more pissed I get. I lean more and more towards banishment commenter. 2. Let's get this straight. You own your home. That James rents a room and Amy does not pay anything towards her use of the house as she does not live there. Amy demanded use of your home because she felt you were rude to her high friends. Now, James has his pants in a twist because Amy thinks you're being inconsiderate for not vacating your home, so she, the one who actually doesn't live there or pay rent, could use it. She's a user. She should not be welcome in the house if she thinks it's appropriate to behave like an entitled brat. James can pull his head in. He just rents the room. He doesn't have the right to tell you to apologize to his bratty girlfriend, and you owe her nothing. Tell James that his lease won't be renewed, and until then, Amy is not welcome in the house at all. OP added in the comments about evicting James. A lot of the comments are telling us to evict James, but I don't agree. James and my BF has been lifelong friends since childhood. Their moms have been friends since grade school. My BF has had some really rough times growing up, and James was there to support him because of that. And the fact that James is in a tight spot financially. My BF rents the room to James at a lower rate than normal. Our area is very expensive. Given their history, I don't think he has the heart to kick him out. With nowhere to go over something he didn't do, I don't feel it's right to evict James for something Amy did. James is very timid and soft-spoken, and Amy is pretty much the opposite. Not to mention James has been in some pretty dysfunctional relationships, and Amy is really the only relatively good relationship he's been in. I feel he's only sticking up for her for fear of being lonely and single again. My BF and I don't think she's right for him, but who are we to tell him who to date? Update. First off, thanks for everyone and their advice. I didn't think this post would get as much attention as it did. A lot of people were angry for us, and it was nice to know that I wasn't being unreasonable. This update isn't quite as dramatic, but I figure people would want to know our resolution. A lot of comments were saying we should evict James, but I wasn't okay with that. As I said in the comments of my last post, James is a childhood friend of my BF. Their moms have been friends since grade school, and he supported him through some tough times growing up. Money is a little tight for James, so my BF wanted to help him out much like he did for him. We also didn't like the idea of banishing Amy because we inadvertently would have been responsible for ruining their relationship, and we didn't want to deal with that. On Friday night, we sat down with James and Amy to talk them about the situation. We told them that we didn't appreciate being told to leave our house and our dog behind so that they could have a party. James had only given us a heads up that they would be having friends over, and nothing more. Amy interjected and said that we were the ones being rude, and that we should have left because they should be allowed to have friends over, because we have people over all the time. While that's true, we never asked James and Amy to leave. In fact, we invite them to hang out with our friends when they come over. Amy said that we couldn't have stayed and hung out with her friends because she didn't think that we get along that well. My BF and I are working professionals in good career fields, and her friends don't make as much and smoke pot all the time. We told her that we don't judge her friends and we don't care. We have all been at that point in our lives, so what does it matter? It seemed like she was embarrassed to bring her friends around because all of our friends are equally as successful as us. She didn't think that we would associate with, in her words, people like my friends. Again, we don't care or judge. It seems like she has more of a problem with her friends than we do. Amy herself has a successful job and career, and since she lives with her parents, I don't think she has any money troubles. She then went on to say that James pays an equal share of the rent, so we should be able to use the house equally. Wait, a share of the rent? We told Amy that we own the house, and that James pays to rent the room. It turns out that Amy didn't know that we were the homeowners. James, before moving in with us, was living in another city 3 hours away, which is where he met Amy. He moved out here after getting into grad school in the area, and Amy followed suit about a month after because we live in her hometown. She assumed that James and us were renting the house. James never told her the nature of his living situation because there wasn't any reason to tell her since she wasn't living there. She tried to explain her way out, but there really wasn't anything she could say after that. James, in the midst of all this, grew pretty exasperated with her. He was trying to be a good boyfriend by lending his support and keeping her happy. But when everything started to unfold, he started getting pretty tired of her excuses. He apologized to us, and also to Amy for not telling her about his living situation. But we were right. She can't kick us out of our own home. We all agreed that we don't have a problem with them inviting her friends over. In fact, we actually do like them but never get to talk to them, and that they're always welcome as guests. But if she wants to have a private party and not invite us, she is free to do so, but it would be better to not have it in a place we live in. Amy eventually apologized, albeit a little begrudgingly, but it seems like she's still angsty about her friends rather than the party situation. Either way, we made it very clear that we are the homeowners, so hopefully this doesn't happen again. Ta-ta-dar. It was a misunderstanding. Amy didn't know we were the homeowners because she made assumptions about James's living situation. She apologized, but it seems like she has some issues with her friends, but it's not our problem. Final comments. Commenter 1. Even if you were both renting and paying equal half of the rent, it would be wrong to ask you to leave so they can have a party. That's just wrong no matter how you slice it. Commenter 2. It would be the same argument she used, just directed back at her, who has no standing since she doesn't live there. Commenter 3. Yeah, that keeps jumping out at me too. Why on earth does she think she's entitled to anything? She doesn't even pay rent at all. It's not her place in any stretch of the imagination. Commenter 4. He apologized to us, and also to Amy for not telling her about his living situation. But we were right. She can't kick us out of our own home. He really should have done this sooner. James knew you guys own the house, so he should have told her right away that she can't kick you out. I don't think he didn't tell her because there wasn't any reason since she wasn't living there. He didn't tell her because he didn't want her to know that his friends own the place and not him. Some stupid ego thing he was, hoping you guys wouldn't sit her down and tell her, but clearly he miscalculated. Reply. If I had to guess, I think James did tell Amy, but he has a tendency to not explain things in great detail. I can see him saying, "Yeah, I'm living with my best friend, I'm renting a room in his house," and she could have misunderstood that, thinking it was a sublease or something. Commenter 5. I think you're still allowing yourself to be steamrolled a bit here. Sounds like she's just going to keep being resentful toward you, which isn't something you need under your roof. Just try to keep in mind, moving forward, that she has no more excuses. Rudeness, entitlement, manipulation. All of these things she's guilty of, and she can no longer fall back on ignorance as an excuse. Sounds like you don't want to punish James, and for whatever reason you don't want to show Amy how serious you are. But I sincerely hope that if she ever tries to pull anything remotely similar in the future, you'll stop pulling punches and tell her she is no longer welcome in your home that you fucking own. Reply. I don't see how I'm being steamrolled here. We sat down with her, laid it all out, and told her that she can't kick us out of our own house. Sure, she may be resentful, but she technically isn't our tenant, so I don't see how that's a problem for us. In my opinion, evicting James, banishing Amy, or doing anything to show them how serious we are would have solved nothing. If anything, it would have caused even more resentment. To me, resolving a situation like this means getting everybody to understand, compromise, and not winning. If she ends up being more than a handful, we have no problem dealing with her. But for now, she knows where she stands, so we'll be fine. Stories number 2. Aita for siding with my dad in my parents' divorce, even though he cheated. Hi, I listen to a lot of people read Reddit stories, but I never use the platform myself. But I'm in a situation where I feel I have no one else to turn to, so I made this account, and I'm asking strangers on the internet. Sorry for grammar mistakes. I edited this down a lot as a lot of it was venting, and most of it was about my rants about growing up and extended family BS. Sorry. If it isn't coherent, it's also still long. I, 15M, am the oldest of 3. My brother is the middle 11, and my sister is the youngest 8F. My family had always been kind of messy, and I knew that from that beginning. But growing up I always felt outlasted from my mother and her side of the family, which is mostly just her sister. Since my mom's not close with her parents, I noticed this, mostly as my brother and sister got older. It was like night and day. For example, at school, if I made some crappy painting, my mom wouldn't even look at it. But I know it's now with my brother, but more so my sister. Anything she makes is like it was touched by the hand of God itself, and it's get displayed everywhere. My aunt, Mom's sister would never ask how my day was or anything, hardly talk to me. If I wanted to tell her something, she didn't care. But with my brother and sister, she's the warmest person. So nice, so kind, so much fun. But never that with me. My mom would sometimes not set a plate for me at the table, and I had to get my own. In a family Christmas card one year, she used a picture without me in it. I used to hear my mom and dad fight about this a lot. Especially when I was younger, my dad would always just ask her to try. And I thinks it's finally clicked for me now, and I am the reason for this divorce, partly apart from the cheating. My dad and his family were the opposite of this. They loved me. I have a great relationship with my father. He's the best father ever. Sorry this is all over the place. This part was really long. I tried to cut it down. About a few days before my parents told us about the divorce, I got in a huge fight with my mom, and kinda my dad, but he would just kind of there over unrelated things. But during that, I kinda asked her why she didn't love me. And I think in a moment of anger, she admitted she didn't want me and I was failed abortion. I don't quite know what went wrong, but in my state, abortions aren't legal. So I guess it was her being young and not having a lot of proper access or something. At that moment, my dad just basically exploded on her and sent me to bed. I think I shut down after this. I just remember being pathetic and crying in my bed that night. I knew I was a teen pregnancy, but I thought my mom and dad pushed through that. And even though I was a teen pregnancy, I thought they still loved me and worked hard to pass high school and take care of me. When my parents sat us down and informed me and my siblings they were getting divorced, I felt numb to it. My siblings were so distraught, but I felt numb. I still feel numb. My aunt was there and was telling me and my siblings to get ready to leave and that we were gonna go stay with my mom for a while. In that moment, I got really upset because I did not want to go live with a woman who wanted to have me aborted and then proceeded to treat me like shit throughout my life, and clearly did not love me. I didn't mention that initially. So I told my aunt, mom and dad that I didn't want to leave the house I grew up in, go stay at my aunt's house with my mom. My mother just looked sad, but I walked out of the kitchen and to my bedroom to go be alone. My aunt followed me and wanted to talk to me. She seemed very upset with me. She said that my siblings look up to me. That's very true. I'm basically a third parent, and I need to be there for my mother in this hard time. I told her something like, I don't want to be there for that bitch, and my aunt got really mad and told me I didn't understand, and that my dad cheated, and I should support my mom. That's how I learned he cheated. In that moment, I honestly didn't care. He cheated. Looking back, I think it was shit. My dad cheated on my mom, and I got really mad and brought up the abortion and asked her why I would support someone who doesn't love me and didn't want me. I brought up all the things throughout my life that felt big to me. My aunt basically told me that it was a complicated situation when it came to me, and that I couldn't resent my mother for it. At this point, my parents came up 'cause we were yelling, and I was then left alone in my room when they got her to leave. It's been a few weeks since then, and I'm staying with my dad. My mother wants to talk to me, and I do not. I feel especially pathetic in regards to my siblings. I feel I've failed them. They really look up to me, and I'm not with them to help them through this hard time, and I've basically abandoned them. I feel pathetic crying about all this when I should be trying to be proactive, calling my siblings, texting them constantly, but instead I sit there and cry. My sister also overheard my fight with my aunt, and her being 8 didn't understand half of things we fought about, but she looked it up, and now she thinks my mother tried to kill me, and she won't take any explanation. My mom and aunt offer her. My sister is also distraught and thinks our mother hates me and is trying to separate us. My brother and me haven't really talked, but I think he's taking it the best out of all of us. According to my dad, my mom and aunt want to explain me to my sister that she did not try to kill me and that my mom does not hate me. My dad does not want me to hate my mom. He wants me to talk to her because he wants me to have a relationship with her. In regards to how I feel about it, I don't know how I feel about the abortion stuff. I don't see it as her trying to kill me exactly. I do understand it was a teen pregnancy and it's a complicated situation. I think I more so care that she treated me so terribly. Growing up, I don't think, looking back on it all, I don't think I can hate her for the attempted abortion. She was a scared teenager. I think I just hate her for treating me so differently and rather badly from my siblings growing up. And I don't want to talk to her again? As for my dad cheating, he was a piece of shit for it. But when I look at him, I can't bring myself truly to care. And I know that makes me terrible. But I feel so conflicted. I love my dad. He's been nothing but supportive to me in the best way a father can. But I don't want to talk to anyone. I've hardly spoken to any of my extended family. Hardly spoken to my siblings, and I feel so lost but also right in the situation. But also like a total asshole. Because my dad's a scumbag for cheating, but he doesn't act like a scumbag, and I'm supporting him, even though he cheated. I'm sorry for how long this was. Am I ta? I need someone to give me the cold hard truth. Relevant comments. Commenter. 1. NT. You sound to be in a very tricky situation, and I'm sure it's very complex. However, at your age, choosing what's safest for you is the best call. Try to keep in touch with your siblings, at least, as it sounds like they care for you. As for your dad, him cheating makes him a bad partner. But that doesn't necessarily mean he automatically is the worst parent. From the experiences you shared, it sounds like you felt more welcome with him. So you staying with him is fine for now. And your mom, it's hard to really understand your relationship with her through a Reddit post. From what you have specified, it doesn't sound that good, especially with her side of the family. I'd say give her a chance, since it sounds like your father wants you to maintain a relationship with her as well. But if you don't feel comfortable with her, then it's best you avoid her for now. This is all very surface level though. You could try talking to a trusted friend or a therapist to get better advice. Reply, I know it's surface level, but in my house, we hardly ever talked about feelings. We fought with each other. Then things just went back to normal. I don't think I could physically bring myself to ask my dad to put me in therapy, and then sit there and cry like a pathetic mess to a stranger. About my problems, I don't think I could even talk about this with my friends. We don't really have that kind of friendship, and once in a blue moon when we talk about feelings, it's never mine. I always find it awkward to talk to friends about their feelings. I don't think I could talk about how I feel with them. So, no Reddit. Is surface level butts. It's the only place I feel I could go where I don't have to look anyone in the eye, and the opinion is unbiased. Thank you for your reply though. I feel better that people at least think I'm not an asshole for being with my dad. Commenter. 2. If therapist is not possible, then maybe you can write down your feelings in a diary or something, to at least process your own emotions. It feels cathartic. Trust me here. Since you're asking for opinions, you may not have expressed the full extent of it, like times when you felt hurt for anything, big or small. So the next time you need to talk about this with your parents, you will be able to get your point across more clearly. And from your post, it seems everyone is thinking you're mad at the mother for abortion. You should clear that up with everyone, siblings and mom's side alike, that you were more hurt about the subsequent treatment you received while growing up, and not the abortion part. Your mom is kinda playing victim by portraying you as someone who doesn't understand teen pregnancy and its difficulties. Confront her and your aunt about her behavior with you that should shut them up for a while. About your dad and divorce, you are not responsible for any of it. It may seem like it now, but it's really not. He made wrong choice and is facing the consequences of his own actions about staying with dad. Kids with divorced parents stay half-time in both houses, so consider it that. Take your time to understand all that you're feeling and plan your future decisions accordingly. Update me. Reply, I will try journaling. Thinking about writing this Reddit post helped me process things more. So I think journaling will be a good direction to go in. I think I may write my mother a letter to lay out all my feelings. Would I not be old enough to make the decision for myself on if I want to go back and forth between houses? Commenter 3. Okay. 1. You are not responsible for anything your parents did in the past, are doing now, or may or will do in the future. Do not beat yourself up about your dad cheating. Maybe she treated him as badly as she treated you. I can fully understand you being alienated from your mother, and I'm having a really hard time understanding why she wants to talk to you. She really needs to give you space to sort everything out, and you are perfectly entitled to resent the way she has treated you throughout your life. But it's not that unusual for a mother to treat her oldest differently, even though they usually don't go to the degree she did. So keep your distance from mom, cut your dad and yourself some slack, and start reaching out to your siblings, a little bit at a time. They need you, and you need them. After you start doing this, you'll start to feel better and be in a position mentally to move on from this awful time. Reply, I want to reach out. But I'm scared they'll ask me hard questions. I also want to see them, and I don't. I'm their big brother. They really look up to me, and I don't want them to see me with my eyes swollen from crying and clearly upset. I feel that would only make them more upset, 'cause when we go through something hard, or they get scared, I always put on a brave face and do my best to protect them, but I don't think I can pretend I'm not scared and unaffected, and that everything is okay this time. I feel bad texting my sister 'cause she keeps asking me all these hard-to-answer questions, and I basically ignore her on those because I don't know what to say. My brother is really just texting me, asking me about my day, and good morning and good night, and when we call it's just about how our day was and stuff. I don't think I've actually really talked about the divorce with him at all. Commenter 4. It's okay for them to see you cry, because you're human, and it's okay to be human with your family. It will even make them feel less alone if they understand that. Strong as you are scared too. Tell them you're there for them and you want them to know you always will be. But you aren't going to talk about your parents and what's going on with them. That you want to know how they are, what's new with them, and maybe plan some kind of get-together without your parents. It's important for all of you to be in touch, and any questions you don't want to answer, just say, I'm not going to talk about that. It isn't up to me, hang in there. You will get through this. Reply. I understand not talking about the divorce with them, but in that department I feel with my younger sister. Especially I've been the one to connect with her the most and help her understand things the most. Like when our dog died, I basically handled all the explaining to her and comforting her. So on paper it sounds easy to just say, that's not something I want to talk about. You need to ask Mom about that. I think it will be so much harder in person. But I will consider that option. I do really miss them and want to see them. Commenter 5 NTA. You sided with the parent who has always loved and treated you well, versus the one that has othered you your entire life. Makes total sense, and you have every right to not want to see your mom right now. You were third parent, and if she's missing anything right now, it's likely your labor. 2 kids is a lot, and it's about time she found that out. She's resented you all your life while you loved her all of yours. That's a hard thing to forgive, and it's best you don't try right now. Talk to your dad about having your siblings visit you at the house. I'm sure they miss it and you. But also talk to him about the affair. What exactly was his intention? Was this a one-time mistake on his part, or did he eventually plan on moving this woman into the house? 'Cause him letting your siblings go makes sense because they're underage, and I assume he works. It just seems odd your mom gave up rights to the house by moving out and intended to take all of you with her. That was either to punish him or by his request. You need to know which to plan accordingly. Reply. She moved out because I don't know the logistics, but it's either my family doesn't actually own the house and we just live in it, and my grandparents on Dad's side own it, or he owns half of property. Either way, it's a inherited property from my great-grandparents, and as far as I know, my mom's name isn't on any documents for it. So I think that means my grandparents probably own it. A part of my believes I am only a third parent to her, and another part wants to believe that she misses me weirdly. 'Cause like someone else commented that maybe me laying it out to her made her open her eyes. I don't really want to know the logistics of his affair, but I'll definitely ask if the women will be moving in, 'cause I don't think I'll feel good about that. As for why she accepted to take all of us, I think in terms of how close we are to the parents, I'm close with my dad. My brother is extremely close to my mom, and my sister is kinda caught in the middle. I think it's also just typical. Or at least from what friends have said, kids go with the mom till custody arrangements are made. Either way, a lot of people are saying to talk to my father about moving forward, and I think I will thank you for your advice update. Aita for siding with my dad in my parents' divorce, even though he cheated. A small update from the original post. I hardly slept last night, and I felt terrible at school, so my dad picked me up and we went out to lunch. Then when we got home, I finally had built up enough courage to ask him questions about what was on my mind, and things brought up by people in my post. The conversation was surprising, productive and honest. I mentioned in a comment on my original post, but in my family we never really talked about hard things or feelings. But basically me and my dad's conversation was like this. Asked my sad about his affair partner and basically what happened. There. This was something I wanted to know but also didn't. But still decided to ask in case she would be moving in. My dad explained that his affair went on for 5 months. He felt drained with my mother and made a terrible decision. He said the affair was discovered not from my mom going through his phone or something, but him confessing. As the more it went on, the more scummy my dad felt. He felt like a terrible father coming home to his kids after cheating on their mother. As he put it, my dad says he is not going to be talking the women anymore, at all, and plans on not dating or marrying anyone new until me and my siblings are all adults. The next thing I asked about I didn't really mention in the post, but I wanted to know his part in my mom trying to end the pregnancy and stuff. He said he actually didn't know she was pregnant until about 1-2 weeks before I was born. He also explained the gist of what my mother told him. My dad doesn't know the nitty-gritty details, so everything I say here is all he also knows. My mom found out she was pregnant at 16 to 17 years old and told my aunt. They sort of panicked, but my aunt tried taking my mother to get an abortion, but my mom's parents found out and did not allow my mother to end the pregnancy. Even after that, my aunt still again tried to help mom get an abortion, but this second attempt was found out, and after that my mom's parents sent my aunt to live with relatives until after my mom gave birth. That's what happened, so I think that means I'm not technically a failed abortion, just a prevented abortion. I don't think it makes much of a difference, though. On the brighter side, my grandparents are going to take me and my siblings out on the weekend to do some fun stuff to take our minds off all the chaos. I am looking forward to that, as I hope with my grandparents around I won't have to answer many questions, and of course I get to see my siblings. I am also feeling better. Writing my feelings out, even it was for strangers on Reddit, helped. I did not broach the topic of therapy with my father like many people suggested. But I am going to write my mom a letter and start journaling despite what many people said. I am going to have a conversation with my mother after I give her my letter and she reads and processes it. I don't when that will be, but soon. Probably. I want to thank everyone who commented on the original post. I don't think I even read through half the comments, but almost all of them I did read had great advice. Many people told me to update them, so here it is. I don't know if I did the update correctly, as this is my first time using Reddit relevant comments. Commenter 1. This is a nice update. I'm glad you had a good conversation with your dad. This is another sign that you've made the right decision for you. He's clearly a safe space for you when your mom isn't. On that note, did you ask him about how her neglect of you affected their marriage? You indicated in your last post that you saw it, so I was wondering if it came up. Suspect it is at the root of what pushed your dad to the affair. It wouldn't excuse cheating, but it would be a very understandable explanation. Reply. We did talk about that, but I didn't want to make the update too long, and it was mostly my father just apologizing a lot. He didn't mention it being the root of the affair, but I don't know what goes on inside his head. He didn't really give me a reason for the affair, but I think I'm okay not knowing one. Commenter 2. Info. How old are your parents? Your mom was a teen when she had you. What about your father? Reply. They're the same age. Sorry, did I not make that clear? Commenter 3. If you are talking to your grandparents of your mother's side, do let them know what impact their meddling caused. They traumatized your mom and she treated you like shit because of that? Reply. I don't really talk to my mom's side other than my aunt, I suppose. I now know why, but still not close with my mom's parents. We've only really ever done things with my dad's side of the family. Commenter 4. Well, your mom was 100% wrong for treating you like that. It had to be hard on your dad, who clearly loves you a lot, to see you being mistreated by his wife. Your mother, she literally would forget to make a plate for you at Christmas? That's just cruelty for cruelty's sake. You didn't ask to be conceived or to be born. You were, and are, entirely innocent in all of this. Stay with your dad. He loves you, and don't let your mom continue to prettify you. Even though I have never cheated and absolutely don't agree with it, I can see why seeing his wife mistreat you for years and other things I'm sure she did, no doubt eroded his love for her. He probably stayed for you kids. That said, I think that he should be encouraged to find someone new once he's healed from the divorce, and not wait until you are all adults. He deserves some happiness from romantic love eventually too. And, as a dad myself, I can tell you that you and your little brother and sister are probably his greatest source of joy in this life. I know that my kids are for me, commenter 5. Yeah, Dad is fucking saint, because he wasn't the one who was forced to give birth and forced to love someone she didn't want, and then possibly forced to be with a person who made her birth because that's right thing to do. For fuck's sake. Now Dad's coming crying, but where the fuck was he earlier to not address it and drag his wife to treat clearly trauma? Reply, my dad's not a saint, but he didn't force my mom into anything. Most of the forcing was done by mom's parents. My dad didn't force my mother to marry him. And because my dad didn't force my mother to do things, he didn't force her to treat any trauma. I empathize with my mom. Being a teen and pregnant is hard, but she also had 15 years to figure things out. I get it was hard for her, but I don't care at this point how she feels about it. 15 years. Later at 32, when she spent my whole childhood hating me. And from my eyes, the one telling the other parent to stop screaming during arguments so the kids don't hear was my dad. My dad was the one suggesting they don't argue and take time to cool down. My mom was the one who would not take the time to cool down and follow him around to keep fighting. I don't think my dad's a total saint, but compared to my mother I think he is. Stories number 3. Tifu. By not listening when the server asked, "Are you sure?" So my family started a new tradition for birthdays once the youngest of us aged out of the cake and presents type of birthday celebration. Now, the birthday person picks something for the family to do together. My sister likes museums and zoos, and I like to try new cuisines. A few years ago, I picked a Vietnamese restaurant. I'd had Vietnamese before and enjoyed the dishes we tried, so I wanted to try some more. The restaurant I picked had bamboo shoot soup on the menu. With duck on the side. I'd never tried either of those, so that's what I ordered. The server gave me a look and asked, "Are you sure?" Y'all, I didn't get the hint. None of us did. I just nodded and said yes. They hesitated for a second, but put the order in, probably thinking, well, it's your own fault. Now I'm in the US. My only exposure to bamboo in food is the little rectangular strips that are everywhere in Asian restaurants. So that's what I thought I was going to get. It very much wasn't. They looked something like this, like miniature stalks of bamboo. It smelled pretty good, so I was in no way expecting the taste that hit me when I took a sip. The only way I can think of to describe it is that this soup tasted the way a zoo smells. It was very earthy, bitter, and strong. I get the feeling it's one of those flavors that you either love or you hate, or you enjoy it if you grew up with it. I fell into none of those categories. The rest of my family tried a sip, and all had the same reaction. We suddenly understood why the server asked, "Are you sure?" We owned the mistake. I ate the duck, which was all right on its own, and tried a few bites of the other dishes my family members had gotten. We took the soup home and tried desperately to change the flavor to something at least one of us would enjoy and be able to finish off. It was futile. We regretfully ended up throwing the soup away. Lesson learned, and yes, we did still tip well. It wasn't the server's fault. We only had one brain cell amongst the 5 of us. TLDR. A server at a restaurant asked me if I was sure about my order. I didn't take the hint and regretted it, ultimately wasting the dish edit, just because I see a lot of people asking about it. We do still have cake and give each other presents. We just don't have that kind of party anymore where the cake and presents are the main focus. We just like to focus more on coming together as a family and enjoying our time together. Comments. Commenter 1. I mean, you tried something new. You didn't like it. You didn't blame the server or the restaurant. If you're adventurous, you're not going to like everything you try. I don't look at it as a tifu. Reply, yeah, I think I mainly consider it a tifu. 'Cause my family hates wasting food, and it was a very big bowl of soup. Commenter 2. A group of us went to a real Thai restaurant in NJ as a going-away dinner for a male friend. I had gotten takeout from that place maybe 20 times. I liked medium, which was very hot, but I usually got mild, which was still pretty hot, because one of my housemates preferred it. No one I knew of had ever tried spicy. Anyway, the guest of honor ordered soup. The waiter asked, mild, medium, or spicy, to which our friend replied, spicy, with some bravado. My housemates and I, and possibly others at the table, gasped and said, no, 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 no. The waiter seemed excited and had a slightly disturbing smile on his face. Our friend assured us, I like spicy food. and so it stood. The soup arrived in a large clay bowl suspended by rope under the legs of a wooden tripod. He took one spoonful, and his eyes got wide. I was sitting next to him and glanced over a few minutes later. His face was red. He was dripping sweat, and veins were popping out on his forehead and temples. He offered me a spoonful, which I accepted, and I couldn't taste anything else for 10 minutes, but he finished it. I could not have. Commenter 3. In Paris long ago, I inquired about the tête de veau with my very American French. I was pretty sure the meaning was literal. But sometimes a calf's head is not a calf's head, right? The very kind waiter said, "Le tête de veau est not for you." I was grateful for this, and took the opportunity to order something from the outside of a full-grown cow. My husband and I still occasionally mention that something not for you. Commenter 4. I was in a restaurant on the Ile de la Cité in Paris that was famous for its andouille, and I figured, I like the New Orleans andouille sausage, so why not? The very kind French waiter got a worried look on his face and said, "That dish is very special." And when I looked undaunted, he emphasized, "Very, very special," and I knew I shouldn't order it. He recommended the white boar stew, and it was fantastic. He prevented me from ordering tripe, and I'm forever grateful. Stories number 4. Aita for refusing to attend my sister's best friend's funeral. My sister 17F was best friends with Lily. 17F practically their whole lives. But Lily hated me, 16F, and she bullied me or was mean to me a ton of times. The worst thing Lily did was out me to everyone 2 years ago. She was sleeping over and I locked my room up because I was spending the night at our grandparents', so I wouldn't be in the same house as Lily. My sister gave Lily the spare key to my room, and Lily let herself in and found my journal where I wrote about being a lesbian. Nobody, and I mean nobody, knew. And Lily was so homophobic after it. She called me gross and slurs against lesbians. Lily told everyone at school and it spread to home, and my sister let it happen. I was so hurt by my sister's part, but I also despised Lily from that point on, and I refused to stay in the house during the day if she was there. My parents stopped letting Lily come over as much, but they hardly did anything to help me. They just said they accepted me and they'd stand up for me if anyone tried to discriminate against me, but I was hurt by them letting Lily stay in their lives. My sister kept her as a best friend and defended her. 2 weeks ago, Lily and her boyfriend crashed the car they were in, and they died. My sister was obviously heartbroken. I didn't care, and I didn't try to comfort my sister or anything. The day of Lily's funeral, I refused to go. My parents tried making me. They told me it wasn't for Lily. It was for my sister. I asked them if that was the sister who supported her homophobic best friend treating me like shit, outing me, and defended her after all that, and years before that of bully. My parents said she's still my sister, and with Lily no longer here, we could grow together. But I said it would never happen. My parents tried everything to convince me. After the funeral, my sister was angry and upset I refused to go, and she said I was practically celebrating Lily's death ever since it happened, and not going to the funeral was proof. My parents told her nobody celebrated it, and we just needed to figure out how to come together. They told me privately then that they were disappointed. Our grandparents also took a stand and didn't go, which upset my sister and our parents, and my sister accused me of making my grandparents not go. Commenter 1 NTA. Your sister started the whole thing by allowing Lily to violate your privacy, without which she would have not been able to out you. So if anyone other than Lily is a bully in this situation, it's your own sister. Commenter 2 NTA. Lily was openly cruel to you, outed you, and your sister defended her. You're allowed to protect your peace. Commenter 3 NTA. You don't owe respect to someone who outed you, bullied you, and made your life miserable. Protecting your peace is more important than fake support at a funeral. Commenter 4. Your parents failed you. I am very sorry. You should show them this post. They failed you. Your sister is also gross. Until she apologizes sincerely and makes an effort to make right the awful treatment of you, ignore her. Just pretend she is invisible. Ask your parents, do you support horrid bullying tapeworms, or human beings who treat people with kindness and dignity. 'Cause your sister isn't in the second of those groupings, I hope you find your peace. You are NTA for having nothing to do with the funeral of a putrid person who treated you so awfully, and you are NTA for refusing to entertain your equally ghastly sister who joined in on it. Stories number 5. ATA, telling my family my sister couldn't work with me because of them. I 28F. Run my own business as a seamstress, selling clothes I've made as well as doing alterations. I've been open for 2 years, and I do a steady business, and my primary income from my business is the alterations. I have a sister, 29F, who we'll call Lana. Lana is currently a recovering alcoholic, and I'm trying my best to support her due to DUIs. She has been struggling to find a job, and her mental health isn't helping her keep any job she finds. I feel really bad for her, and while we were visiting my parents on Monday, I made the offer she could work for me. When I made the offer, I said that she could work inventory and register like a normal employee. She seemed pretty on board but said she would have to think about it since she didn't want to leech off me. Our parents were also really on board and encouraging and thought this would be a great opportunity for both of us. Wednesday, my mom called me and asked if the building would now be in both Lana and I's names. I asked her what she meant, and she said since Lana is co-owner, her name should be on the lease. I told her it wouldn't, because she wouldn't be co-owner. I made it clear to my mother that Lana would be like any other employee. The reason I wanted her to work with me is so if she relapsed, she wouldn't risk losing her job again, since I know what she's going through. Mom beat around the bush trying to convince me to make Lana co-owner, and I repeatedly told her no, not only for Lana's sake but also the sake of my business. I don't think Lana would be a bad co-owner, but at this time she's still fairly unstable, and I don't want her to get stressed and fully break her sobriety. I made this clear to my mother in our phone call before she eventually gave up. I thought that was the end of it. And few hours Lana called to ask if I hired her what she would be doing. I told her the same thing I said at dinner, that she would mostly be doing inventory, register, etc. She asked if she would help with any of the clothes, and I told her when she learned to sew I would consider it. She accepted and seemed excited with the arrangement since both of us have always loved fashion, and we agreed I would host an interview with her at the end of next week on my day off. My dad called me yesterday, scolding me about the position I was putting Lana in, and was telling me a meaner version of what my mother was saying, and continuously trying to hound me to give Lana a higher position. I was getting really frustrated, and I told him that if he and Mom wouldn't stop pushing, I just wouldn't hire Lana at all. My dad called me a terrible sister before hanging up. I called Lana and told her what happened and my words about not hiring her. She got upset with me and I apologized and told her I still wanted her to work with me. I just didn't want to drama with Mom and Dad. She understood but is still upset with me. I would even say that even in the heat of the moment, AITA, some of comments. Commenter. NTA, but you probably didn't need to relay the entire conversation with your parents to your sister. You were both happy with the arrangement. So your parents can butt out, stick to your original plan, and stop trying to justify yourself to your entitled parents. Reply. Yeah, Lana and I have always been really close, so I automatically tell her everything, but it's a bit late now. But you and the other commenter are right that I need to start standing up for myself against my parents more. Commenter. Your parents have put you in an impossible position. I don't suppose they were offering to buy out half of the business to give to your sister. Reply. No, but they did help me find the building my business is in, as well as helped move some of my stuff into the building and get it set up. They haven't paid of anything relating to my business, unless you count the sewing machine they got for me when I was 13 that started my love of clothes making. But I think that earlier help is why they think they have such a say in all this. Commenter. Look at it this way, not as if your sister was a stranger applying for a job. Granted, a lot of this wouldn't be on an application, but would you hire someone with multiple DUIs, mental health issues, and an alcoholic? I'm assuming the answer would be no, and no. NTA. Reply. Yeah, I wouldn't. But I can't bring myself not to help her even if she would be a terrible hire on paper if she wasn't family. And even then, it's something she likes to do and I'll be there to support her rather than metaphorically tossing her to the wolves if she worked with other people. IDK. I just want to help her out, but thank you for commenting. Commenter. You seem to have turned out very well for having two completely delusional parents. Kudos. Reply, lol, thanks. But all this is actually coming really out of the blue for them. My dad has always been really level-headed, and my mom was the one who taught me family should always be put first, which is why their demands are so weird. Especially since at dinner I told them exactly what Lana would be doing, and they seemed fine with it. To another commenter, sometimes I wonder if my parents still think we're teenagers arguing over who gets to drive the family car. As I said in a previous comment, their behavior is really out of the blue, since they've always been really sweet and supportive when it came to my business. I want to believe they might just be misunderstanding something, or maybe they're just stressed trying to help Lana as best they can, and taking that stress out in the wrong places. I'm just hoping this gets resolved before I interview Lana next week. Top commenter NTA. Ask your dad if he would give away half his business to a drunk sibling who has no experience, because that is what your mother is demanding. Reply. Yeah, especially since Lana is currently living with them while she recovers. They know exactly how she's doing and that she isn't fit to run a business. I have no doubts she'll be a great employee, since she's always been the type to put her best foot forward in all she does. But with where she is at the moment, I think the stress would make her relapse. Commenter. I suspect they know she's going to crash and burn at this job, and their only mental way out of that doomsday scenario is to believe that this is a permanent gig that she can't be fired from. That doesn't excuse what they've done, however. Reply. That might be it. I know previously my mom had told me how worried she was about Lana going job to job. I think I'm going to have a family talk with them after the weekend is over, and hopefully I'll find out where this is all coming from and how to deal with it. Oop clarifies. Thank you. But like I said in other comments, I believe my parents' behavior is primarily out of stress about Lana than genuine hostility or poor parenting. I should have been clearer in my post that Lana does not have a felony. For DUI, she has 2 misdemeanors. However, due to time frame, lack of harm to herself and others, and the actual BAC level, she is not a felon in our state. And I wouldn't say I'm successful. I'm definitely comfortable, but I still have to watch my budget. Other employees access to the register. Actually don't have any other employees, which is where I think my parents might be assuming she'll be co-owner, since I run my store almost entirely myself. I say almost because on rare occasions my friends might come in to help move stuff around or do deliveries. As for the register, I have my PayPal hooked up to the card reader, and even if she was paid with cash, I would still know how much is made in a day. And if numbers didn't add up, in the very unlikely event Lana would try to steal from me. As for becoming an enabler, I've been doing my own research on how to help recovering family without enabling them. And I have made it clear to Lana repeatedly, especially with the interview thing, that she will be treated like a normal worker when we're on the clock. One more thought from OP. Thank you. And I'm really proud of her too. Last week actually marked her first 3 months without a relapse. Update. So before I get into the update, I would like to clear some questions that were raised in the comments. I tried my best to answer them all, but I got a lot. First, Lana is not a felon. In our state, her DUIs are considered misdemeanors due to the BAC level she had, plus the fact that her only crime while driving under the influence was going below the speed limit. Second, my parents' behavior was very out of the blue. They're usually very supportive and rational, but I think that the stress of Lana is making them act irrationally. As one commenter put it, they see her working for me as a magic bullet to fix everything. And when I tried to set the boundary of her being an employee rather than a co-owner, they thought I was not going to give her a good job at all. Third, my business is very small. I run it all by myself, and like I said in my first post, most of my money comes from alterations rather than my own designs. Fourth, what I said about Lana not getting the job was heat of the moment frustration when talking to my dad. He was yelling at me over the phone and was being incredibly pushy, and it felt like I was talking to a brick wall. I still have full intentions to hire Lana, and the interview for this coming Friday is still on. I just said it to try and get Dad off my back, and I apologized to Lana about even saying it to begin with, since it wasn't fair to her. Fifth, some people were implying Lana's drinking had to do with our parents. It does not. Up until this point, we've never had any major rifts with our family, and we've always been incredibly tight-knit. The reason for her drinking was because of something outside of us. I won't say what, since it is not my place, but our parents have nothing to do with her addiction other than giving both of us the addiction gene. Anyways, here's the update. Lana called me after dinner last night and we talked. She spoke with our parents and told me that my suspicions of a lot of this being a stress-filled misunderstanding were correct. And she invited me over this morning for breakfast. With them all, I got back literal minutes ago as I'm writing this. It was pretty awkward at first. Our parents were still on this high horse about Lana getting a good position. However, we were able to talk it out. Lana explained how she doesn't feel ready for such a position while she's still recovering and how it would make her feel like she's leeching off me. She also pointed out that their pushiness was impacting her and I's relationship and stressing her out more since she felt like she had to pick a side. She appreciated their concern. However, as she pointed out, that concern was coming at a detriment to all of us. I told them how I felt like they didn't respect my business and how hurtful their words and actions were, especially my dad yelling at me as raised voices has always been something I'm sensitive about. I explained my perspective of how I didn't want to stress out Lana with a position she really isn't ready for, nor does she have the experience for, and it felt like I was getting punished for trying to help her out. I brought up what another commenter said about how it was like expecting me to put her on the lease of my apartment she doesn't even live in. Parents really took some time to think over what Lana and I were saying while they made breakfast, and when we sat down to eat they apologized to us and explained that they were terrified of Lana having another relapse. Apparently, before we were born, my mom's cousin suffered from addiction and mental health, which eventually led to her committing, and they were terrified that the same might happen to Lana, which was why they were pushing for a more permanent position. It was a hard talk, but those were the important bits. It ended with some tears from my mom and so many apologies. We've all agreed it would be good to look into family therapy. Lana is already seeing an addiction psychologist and plans to consult them about good family support groups and therapists at her next session. My parents keep occasionally texting me asking if I need help with anything and if I'm okay, which is their way of apologizing even more. The interview between Lana and I is still on, and I've already set some boundaries with her about what it means working under me to ensure she has structure without enabling her. And when we get the therapist, I'll also be speaking with them for more tips. I'm a bit surprised things resolved this fast, but not really my family, and lingering tension is like oil and water. None of us can ever go to bed upset. I think things are going to be weird for a while, but in the end, I think it'll be all right. I'm excited to work with Lana, and I am nervous but eager to start family therapy, since I think it will be good for all of us. Thank you all for your kind comments and support. Other than responding to comments, this will probably be the last post I make since I just made this account to get advice. Thank you. One of comments. Commenter. This is a great update. Thanks for posting it. Best wishes to Lana if you can pass this on from a stranger on the internet. And great respect to you. Reply. I will. But I think my family would freak out if they knew I posted about our squabbles on the internet. Lol, I'll tell her you're just a friend. Stories number 6. My neighbor tried to evict me from my own driveway, so this just happened. And I am honestly still in disbelief. I have lived in this house for 5 years. The driveway is very clearly on my property. No easements, no shared access, nothing. My neighbor moved in about 6 months ago and immediately started acting like he owned the place. First it was taking my tools without asking. Then it was his guests constantly parking in my driveway just for a minute. Yesterday I came home to find a giant "No Parking Tow Away Zone" sign planted right in the middle of my driveway. Brand new, shiny, professionally made. I thought it was some kind of prank. It was not. He came outside with a folder of papers and told me I was trespassing, and if I parked there again, he would call a tow truck. He even tried to hand me a fake-looking notice with his signature on it, like he was a landlord. Evicting me, I parked my car and told him to call whoever he wanted. 10 minutes later, and an actual tow truck pulled up. Luckily, I had already called the police because I knew it was going to escalate. The tow driver took one look, realized what was happening, and refused to touch my car. The officer told my neighbor that if he pulled another stunt like that, he would be charged with harassment. Now he is sulking, and blasting music at all hours like that is going to scare me. I am documenting everything, because I have a feeling this is only the beginning. Commenter 1. If he is blasting music at all hours, check your local noise ordinance. Here, it is illegal to make noise that is audible in another residence between 9 p.m. and 9 a.m. If he's violating that, Call the police non-emergency number, commenter 2. This reads like the beginning of a Netflix true crime doc. Dude really thought he could just evict someone from their own driveway, commenter 3. Lock up your tools and establish visible boundary lines as possible. Yeah, fence, shrubbery, commenter 4. First time he took your tools without permission, you should have had him charged and took steps to include cameras. By not doing so, you gave him the sense that he could do anything he wanted to in his mind. You absolutely need to stand firm from here on out and pursue whatever legal steps you have to the fullest every single time. I'd put up a fence if you can. Make sure it's fully legal with permits, setbacks, etc. Document everything. Dates, times, details. All in one binder. Print out and add photos from your cameras, as well as save video clips. You'll probably wind up having to have him trespassed and get an RO eventually as well. The more documentation you have, the better it will go. Stories number 7. My parents tried to screw over my dying stepmother, blew up all of our lives. Instead, TLDR, my bio parents tried to screw my terminally ill stepmother out of trust fund money, but she caught on and now no one on my side of the family gets anything. My 17F stepmother Jane is a wonderful, wonderful woman. She and my father got married when I was 4, and she's been a rock in my life ever since. My mother was always my primary caregiver, but up until that point, her relationship with my father was acrimonious, and I basically never saw him. Jane was the reason they developed a stable co-parenting relationship. She encouraged everyone having a good relationship with each other, and was always there to support me and my mom when things got rough. Jane was always a really hard worker. When she met my dad, he was living out of a hotel, and my mother was doing everything in her power to keep me away from him, because she was petty and angry that their relationship didn't work out. Meanwhile, Jane had a great job, a nice house, helped my dad get back on his feet, negotiated a visitation schedule with my mom who hated her for a long time, and made sure my dad sent us money every week because neither one of them could afford an attorney to negotiate child support payments. Jane had no reason to do any of these things, but as I got older, she made it clear that she loved me as much as she loved my half-brothers who were born a few years later. I even have my own room in her house because at the time we lived with my grandparents, various boyfriends of my mom, and Jane felt that I needed a more stable environment than that. She's like the opposite of the evil stepmom. When I was 15, Jane won a big lawsuit against an airline company and got awarded upwards of $1 million. She used the money to build sizable trust funds for me and my brothers so that we would be taken care of later in life. Despite having a lot more money, she still wanted to live a fairly modest life. So she paid off the house she has and has been living there ever since with my dad. Sure, she bought a new car, and they went on a few nice vacations, but she didn't blow all her money on stupid things, which I respected. About a year ago, things started getting really weird. Whenever I saw Jane, she seemed to look sicker and sicker, but no one would tell me or my brothers why, even though I know they knew. All we knew is that she was at the hospital a lot, around the same time. My mom has been coming around my dad a lot more and acting really strange, basically like she was trying to romance him. Whenever Jane was in the hospital, my mother would insist on spending the night at their house and playing mom to my brothers, which was so weird to me because she never liked them or Jane. She'd be the perfect little housewife, and my mom is not like that at all. It was super fake. Worst of all, my dad started falling for it. I'm not stupid. I'm pretty sure they were sleeping together. I tried to shield my brothers from it, but they're not dumb either. I tried talking to my dad too, but he insisted it wasn't like that. Then a few weeks ago, my mom started talking about all the places she'd like to visit, how she wanted a new car, and was looking to invest. Which is weird because my mom has been a bartender her whole life and has lived paycheck to paycheck since before I was born. She was acting like she was about to get a lot of money, which started to make me really suspicious. Between Jane being sick and my mom acting all nouveau riche, I had a lot of questions. Finally, I decided to visit Jane in the hospital and ask her about my trust fund. I found out that if anything happened to her, that my dad would inherit all the money, including full control of the trusts for me and my brothers. She asked me why I was so interested in the trust fund, so I told her what's going on with my parents and how my mom has been acting. With my dad, I didn't want to, but after everything she did for me, she deserved the truth. It really hurt me to break her heart like that, especially once I found out that she was basically in hospice at this point because of irreversible kidney failure. She's only got a few more months. We both cried so much. Then, 2 days ago, everything came to a head. My mom stormed in, furious, and started arguing with my dad. Apparently, Jane met with her lawyer and changed the trust so that my dad would get nothing and all of the trusts would be controlled by my step-aunt. She demanded to know how Jane found out about their relationship, and I came out and told them that I told Jane everything. I told them that if they wanted to play stupid games, they would win stupid prizes, and that I wasn't going to let them screw Jane over after all the help she gave my family. When she didn't have to, my mom slapped me, and my dad just looked so defeated. Then my mom told my dad that she didn't really love him, that she was just pretending to so he would marry her and she could get all of the money. The worst part about it is that my brothers witnessed the whole thing, and now on top of their mom dying, they have to deal with a cheating dad and his vindictive ex. Our whole family is in ruins, and I feel like it's my fault even though I know it's not. Yesterday I visited Jane again and told her about the fallout. She apologized and said that she had to dissolve my trust fund to make sure my mother didn't get a hold of the money, but that as her oldest, I will inherit the house property after she is gone, and that's worth more than the other two trust funds combined. My father won't get anything because she's going to divorce him before she dies, and honestly I'm happy for her. She made me promise to take care of my brothers and told me that once I turn 18 this summer, I can kick my dad out of the house if I want to, and I fully plan to do that. BTW. I haven't talked to my dad since, and I can't even look at my mom. I can't believe they would conspire to do this to Jane after all this time. Just proof that they deserve each other, and I'm embarrassed that they're my parents. Once I turn 18, I'm going to cut my dad out as much as I can, and cut my mom out completely. I hope she rots. Meanwhile, I'm going to try and be at the hospital as much as I can until Jane passes away. Anyways, I just needed to vent. I'm really messed up about the whole thing, and I feel super betrayed. Although I can't even begin to imagine how Jane feels. I'm gonna be so effed up when she dies. I can't even think about that right now. But at least she's not surrounded by people who just want to bring her down. Thanks for reading Edit. Some people are asking a lot of the same stuff, so I'll just clarify here. My brothers. My plan is to use some of the estate money fight for guardianship for my twin brothers, so that they can live in the house while I kick my dad out. If I can't get guardianship, then I will have to let my dad stay in the house. However, once I turn 18, I will technically be an adult. So even if my dad leaves, I'm still legally able to be responsible for them. The only thing I won't be able to do is stop him from taking them, if he leaves. But they will be 18 in 6 years. So even if they do have to leave, they will always be able to come back whenever they want. In a perfect world, my dad would just leave and let my brothers stay with me, which I'm sure my bio mom would be very supportive of because right now she hates all of us, and I doubt that will change anytime soon. The trust, from what I understand, my brothers will inherit 1/3 each of the estate, and the remaining 1/3 will be used to keep the house running until they turn 18. After that, it will be up to me if I want to keep the house or sell it. At that point, my brothers will still have money left in the trust, so they can branch out or do whatever they want. Otherwise, I will not sell the house and just pass it on to them, or keep it and maintain it myself, and they can just stay with me as long as they need to. Edit to the edit. So I just spoke to Jane, and she told me that the reason she dissolved the trust is because originally it was going to be split 3x between us kids, and my dad would inherit the house. She dissolved my third and switched it over to make it to take care of the house maintenance, and instead put the house in my name, so my dad wouldn't get it. Plus, by doing that, at least financially, I would be getting a much bigger share. The house is worth about 15x the amount of my brother's trusts. I just wouldn't be able to do anything with it until my brothers are 18, which I'm totally cool with. Sorry if I don't have a better answer, but I'm just trying to translate what she told me. My parents. The big fight happened on Sunday, and I haven't spoken to either of my parents since. I think they're both at my mom's place right now, but that's fine with us because we're all still mad at them, so they can stay gone for all we care. I know technically that's not legal to just leave us alone, but I've been taking care of my brothers for over a year. I can handle a few days while he gets his shit together. Screw both of them. Hope that clears some stuff up. Comments. Commenter 1. I'm so sorry you're going through such a hard time. The most important thing you've inherited from Jane is a strong moral compass. You could have taken the easy road and ignored everything your mom and dad were doing. But your compassion to Jane is proof you take after her the most. Reply. Thanks. A lot. Yeah, when my mom was yelling at me, she asked why I couldn't keep my mouth shut and mind my business. And I told her, because Jane raised me better than that, and that's when she slapped me. I feel like she's always been threatened by Jane. And that was just proof. Commenter 2. I would scream, "Ooh, touchdown," reply. Lol, that would have been funny, but at the time I was more worried about keeping my brothers out of the argument. Not that it worked, but I tried. Commenter 3. You're a good kid. I'm sorry you're losing the only parent who ever really cared. Jane was meant to be your mama. Reply. Thank you. I've felt like that periodically over the years, but Jane always insisted that she didn't want to replace my bio mom in my life, because a girl's relationship with her mother is important. I guess she didn't realize that I already had one. Update. Jane is still alive and doing surprisingly well considering the circumstances. She's always been a fighter, and although her disease has been progressing, she's keeping a positive attitude with everything that is going on. She says she's grateful that she was able to see everyone's true colors before she passed, so she could go into the next life knowing the truth. We have become so unbelievably close in the past few months, and it's getting harder and harder to know that she's getting close to the end. She doesn't ever talk about it, though, and I know it's because she doesn't want to hurt me, but we both know the situation, so we're just making the best of our time. I'm also not being completely transparent about all of the drama at home, but TBH, I don't think she needs to hear all of that. We did end up having that surprise celebration of life that I planned. A lot more people showed up than I thought, but they all got an Airbnb near the hospital where Jane is, and we were able to take her out and spend some time at the lake near the facility. It was super low-key, which I know Jane preferred, and I was even able to get her old college friend to come after I found him on LinkedIn. LOL. We had food and there was music, and we played games, and it was overall a really great time, except Jane started crying at the end, but she promised me it was just because she was grateful. My brothers are also doing okay. My Aunt Jane's sister is currently paying for them to go to therapy, and they've become a lot more open about talking about the situation. They just turned 13, but a lot of the time it feels like I'm talking to actual adults. LOL, they've become really independent lately in a good way, and aside from me driving them places, I don't really have to do much for them anymore. Their grades aren't super great, but they're not failing, and considering the circumstances, it could be a lot worse. They still hang out with friends, and I'm keeping an eye out for like depression symptoms and stuff. The situation with my mom is as funny as it is embarrassing. TBH. She spent a few weeks ignoring us, and then she tried to crawl back into my life, basically begging me to let her move in because her lease is about to expire, and she has nowhere to go. That convo went about as well as you'd think, and she ended up calling me an ungrateful bee and that I couldn't just ignore her because she's my mom. I told her to get out of the house before I called the cops, and to go back to my dad, who at that point was only coming home every few days to check on us and grab some clothes. After that she tried coming by a few times, and when I wouldn't open the door, she would lose her mind and start yelling through the neighborhood. After 3 instances of this, I finally called the cops. But because I'm 17, they told me there's a possibility that I would have to go home with her since, technically, I'm a minor and need to be with the custodial parent. I told them no way, because I was the only one watching my brother's ATME. That led to a whole thing where after a few hours my dad basically showed up, and I was allowed to stay there because there was finally an adult present, and I'd basically lived there for over a year. After that, the cops firmly told my mom that if she keeps showing up and causing drama. My neighbors confirmed that she'd been there a few times, screaming that they would arrest her for trespassing since, technically, it was Jane's house and not hers. She left and hasn't tried coming to the house anymore, but for a while she would call me constantly telling me I owed her and all kinds of stuff. She's now blocked on everything, and anything she needs to say to me gets filtered through my dad. As for my dad, well, since he's basically required to be here for another 2 months until I turn 18, we've basically just avoided each other. It's not too bad, though, because I've been heavily relying on guilting him for everything to get my way. For example, he was going to contest the divorce, but I threatened to kick him out when I turn 18 if he does that. So he just signed all the paperwork for a quickie divorce, and is basically doing whatever Jane tells him to do. I don't openly disrespect him or anything. He's still my dad, but I've made it clear that I have no intentions on doing anything he says ever again, and he doesn't fight me on it. Most of the time he's just in his room, and sometimes he'll go back to my mom's but only for a day or two before they argue and she kicks him out again. LOL. I haven't decided whether or not I'll kick him out yet, and we haven't talked about it either, so I'm kind of playing it by ear. As for me, I'm handling everything as good as I can. I found a new job where I make a little more money, so I've been focusing on saving as much as I can, and just being there for my brothers. Between working in school and visiting Jane, I've been so busy I haven't really had time to really stop and think about everything. But I know it'll come. One of my friends has really stepped up and helped me manage everything, and I'm super grateful to him for being there for me and my brothers. So we'll see how that goes. Anyways, I wish I had something more exciting to share. But that's what's happened since my last post. Thanks again for all the support on my last post. Comments. Commenter 1. Holy shit. I remember your first post. This is such a big pile of horse crap to be dealing with. But you sound so incredibly mature, and like you're really taking it in stride. Your parents have really failed you and your brothers here. But I'm so proud of how you've managed to step up to the plate and hold your ground against them. I'm still sorry you have to be the next best adult in this scenario. It's also great to hear that Jane is still alive, and that you guys got to do a celebration of life with her. I can only hope, when I am at my own end, that I have people who love me this dearly, and this deeply. I hope you and your loved ones are able to make some more happy memories with her. Reply. Thank you, and I promise that as long as you are a good person, and work to make the lives of those around you better, instead of being a burden, you will have many people around you who will love and cherish you. Commenter 2. Jane was a wonderful example for you and raised you well. I'm so sorry you have to deal with all of this. You are so young, and this should be a carefree time in your life. However, I'm glad your brothers have you. Curious, does Dad and Biomom work at all? Or they just mooch off Jane and others? I mean, seems like they have a lot of time on their hands to do nothing, but horrible people. Reply. Hi and thank you. Yes, my Biomom works as a bartender most nights. She's been working at the same bar basically my whole life. As for my dad, he works in industrial sales. He makes a pretty decent living. But I think most of his money recently has been going towards my Biomom, since he never seems to have money to do anything anymore. Lol. New update. Hello everyone, it's me again. I've gotten quite a few messages in the past months asking for an update, so I'm going to post my final update here and hope that it's enough to answer the questions everyone has been asking. I'm sorry that it took so long to update, but a lot has been going on. As many of you may already assume, Jane passed away early fall of this year. It was very traumatic and sudden, but the silver lining is that she exceeded every doctor's expectation for her life, and when she did go, she was surrounded by family, including me, my brothers, and my dad. She was on palliative care and felt no pain except for a brief moment right at the end, and we are all very grateful for that. Towards the end, Jane was physically pretty much done, but her mind was as sharp as ever. I took the advice of many of you here and recorded some voice notes for my brothers. I originally wanted to do video, but by the time we were able to do it, we both decided they didn't need to remember her wrapped in tubes and in a hospital gown. She also wrote many letters for her friends, family, and even for me to open when I reached certain milestones. She gave me one to open right after she passed away, and while I won't share too many details, I can say with absolute certainty that she is, and forever will be, who I consider my mother without question. It was very, very emotional for everyone, and although it has been a few months, I am still very heartbroken about her no longer being with us. She was a kind, gentle woman, and in my heart she is who I aspire to be. My brothers are obviously very hurt about our mom dying, but just like before, they are taking it surprisingly well. They are still going to therapy, both together and separately, and we have a lot of conversations whenever they feel like talking. We've always been close, but I feel like we're closer now. Even though I work, we hang out as often as we can, and I'm doing everything I can to be the support that they need. They don't know it, but I definitely need them as much as they need me, because they're the only ones I can really talk to about anything. Ironically, now that our family glue is gone, We're pulling together stronger than before. My dad and I mended the fences, so to speak. We went to a few therapy sessions together where he took full responsibility for his behavior, and I've forgiven him as much as I can, especially since he eventually started doing everything he could to be there for Jane at the end. Even though they still went through with the divorce. He's still living with us, and things are a little tense, but they're much better than before. He's my dad and I love him, but he was also broken by Jane's condition, and he wasn't able to cope in a healthy manner. Her dying really brought some light into his eyes, so to speak. And now he's really stepping up to be the man he was supposed to be. A lot of people commented saying, too little too late. But again, he's my dad, and for my own mental health, I have chosen to forgive him. My bio mom pretty much vanished off the face of the earth when I turned 18. She tried a few times to convince me to let her live with us, but I wasn't having any of it. Even my dad told her he's officially done. And after we all blocked her on everything, she stopped reaching out. She doesn't have any relatives who talk to her. So I don't have to worry about that, but I did hear from people who follow her on Facebook that she has a new boyfriend that she's living with. I don't want to stalk her or anything. I really don't care. She hasn't come to me with any kind of apology, so TBH's she can get bent. It's a little hard for me to think that she'd just walk away the second I turned legal just because she didn't get any of Jane's money, but oh well, true colors and all that. Guess 18 years was too long to pretend to care. I'm just so angry with her. I don't want anything to do with her anymore. Maybe that will change one day, but I'm not holding my breath. As for me, I'm doing pretty okay, I decided. To take a year before I start college to handle all of this bullshit, and I'm still at my same job, so I'm saving up money wherever I can. My friends have all been great supporters, and I'm so grateful for everyone, especially you Reddit folks, who have been checking in on me and making sure I'm okay. I'm taking things one day at a time. And that's been working great to keep my focused. My goal is to go to college next year and study journalism. But I'm playing it by ear. I can always go back to school, but right now my family needs me. And if that takes longer than a year, then so be it. Thank you everyone. This will be my last update. And I very much appreciate all the love and support you've shown our family, Jane. I know was very grateful for all of you too. And all I can say is, hold your loved ones tight, and be careful of anyone who seems too good to be true. Much love and blessings to you. All comments, commenter. Who has control over the money Jane left? For her children. Does your father have access to it? Is it possible that his attitude only changed because he's expecting to gain access to the money Jane left? He might still be secretly involved with your biological mom and only pretending to change his behavior as a way to get closer to Jane's money. Reply. For a while I did honestly think this. However, shortly after Jane died, I found out he was looking into apartments to move into. When I confronted him about it, he said that he was trying to be respectful and assumed I wouldn't want to have anything to do with him. So he was preparing. Just in case. I think the fact that he wasn't parading his plan around in front of me to try and get brownie points says a lot. That and the fact that he's been very involved in our therapy gives me a lot of hope. I understand a lot of people have had bad experiences, but like I've been saying, my dad isn't a bad person, he's just stupid. Commenter 2. Depends on how you found out. Really, it is not exactly unrealistic that your father would manipulate you into finding out so that he could play the pity card. And while it is great that he is involved in therapy, being stupid and evil are not mutually exclusive. I get that the main source of the problem was your bio mom, but your father was still willing to hurt Jane and you and your brothers as long as it made him happy. Just saying, you should keep an eye on him for your own safety and sake. Reply. My dad isn't smart enough to manipulate me like that, nor do I think he once wanted to. I'd say maybe my bio mom put him up to it. But at that point they were no longer communicating. I understand there are a lot of people in this thread who are determined to make my dad the villain. But he's done a lot to pave the way towards forgiveness. And I know Jane would want me to allow him to make it right. Commenter 3. It is great that you trust your dad to make amends and do better now. But I don't think anyone is determined to make him the villain. Nobody here knows him as a person. So the only thing anyone can do here is to base their opinions about him based on the information that you have provided, and it doesn't really portray him in the best of light. I get the desire to excuse his actions as the fault of your biological mother. But, manipulation or not, He still went along with her plans, and the only reason it failed was thanks to you. Not him. I do hope that you are right about him being genuine in his attempt, though. And I do hope that he actually puts in the work for the sake of you and your brothers. Stories number 8. My 15-yo idiot kid got his GF pregnant on purpose. I 30F have a child who is 15M. We'll call him Ollie plus other children aged 2, 6, 9, and 11. As you can tell by my own age, I was teen parent. I was lucky. And we married at 18, still married, healthy relationship. Worked our way out of a very dire situation, graduated, started a trade, etc., and we are comfortable, stable in all ways. This information is relevant. Ollie has been friends with this girl. We'll call her Bree since he was 7 years old. Their family used to live in the same city as us, and went to the same school, same friendship group. We know her parents and are long-distance friends ourselves. Not close friends, but say hello when the kids are on video chat, had drinks together before Bree's family moved to a very small town. 3 states away due to rental. Affordability. No secret we all have talked about the rising costs of everyday life. The cost of living in this city has risen, forcing many locals out. They moved because of that, and for better job opportunities, 18 months ago. Since then, Ollie has been begging for us to follow, giving us a sales pitch on cheaper housing, better paying jobs, none of which fit either of our professions. The whole works. We have said no because, well, no, but even if we wanted to, our other children are in school, sports, and have friends here. Selling and buying another house, finding work outside of our skill set, or having to learn new skills. Any normal adult would understand this. He does not. Well, fast forward to Christmas. Bree's family come back to our city for a holiday, and the kids met up multiple times with each other. It was my understand that they were always with the other kids, but obviously not since Bree is pregnant. And I am certain it was on purpose. He has access to condoms. I don't care for opinions on that. My access was restricted and I had him. He has had sex from me, my husband, school. He knows damn well how babies are made, and how not to have one. Ollie now wants me to move to be with her, and the baby, it's confirmed. I've talked to her parents, and I said no. I don't feel I need a reason, but he asked, "You're 15. We don't have any proof it your child yet. I'm not moving us away from our lives, and you aren't going alone until you're 18. We will do a DNA test, then we will look at parenting plans," and topped it off with a "too bad, too sad. You made your bed, now you have to sleep in it." He took that back to Bree, and now all communication between me and her parents has been cut. I'm a terrible person. My comments about the DNA test are disgusting, and it's fueling my son's hate. For me, he says, I am keeping him from the love of his life and future baby, using my own successful relationship as proof. It will work out. I actually don't even know if I am right or not. I'm just really upset, and feel like my life I worked really hard for has been destroyed. Indicted for update. To answer some question. She is due September around the 22nd. So no, there is no option for abortion. I don't think that, or adoption ever was. Ollie admitted it was on purpose last night. Apparently, it was Bree's idea first, as a joke, that turned into a plan. Together Bree's parents will only pass messages through my son, and I have heard this for myself. I stood outside the door and listened to them tell him, "Tell you mother, insert info below, because I know I will just go off on her about that bullshit still. They are talking shit about me with my kid. They are appalled I would think that way of Bree, when I have known her for more than half her life and do not wish to talk to me. I will not allow him to move out there alone. There are some past issues, such as Bree breaking up with him twice in the last 18 months because she found someone that she liked more. Her new town around August and October last year. Same boy, and when it ended, she came back to Ollie. Bree is a nice girl, but her behavior is toxic, and has been since a child. Her mother and stepfather are nice, but the relationship is unstable. The house is chaos. 9 children combined, blended. Family and 2 to 3 teens with serious mental health struggles. He would be leaving stability for chaos and no structure. I want a DNA test. I will not budge on that. I am close to cutting his contact totally at this point, because they are only empowering him and reinforcing his behavior towards me. And his father. His father is a man of few words. which is unhelpful. So far he's backed everything I have said, and only really chosen to say, "You have the intelligence of a pear." Update. 2. Things have gone south even further. At this point, husband and I have been blocked on all social media, and numbers blocked, but the communication with Ollie has continued. Ollie gave us Bree's parents' email address to send an email to, but before using that, I asked him to video chat Bree with me there, and then I could ask Bree to please get her parents, so I can talk to them about this, and tell her that if they were going to continue to refuse, then I would be blocking all contact to Ollie and communication until this is resolved. I told Ollie this before the call. At first he flipped out about it, but it was this, or I cut communication completely. I do think he understood that it is not okay that her parents are speaking to me through minors. And he said himself, he would like us to talk to each other. Bree joined the call and hung up when she saw I too was there. Ollie called back a few times, and she didn't answer. She asked via text why I wanted to talk to her, and Ollie told her that I wanted to speak to her mother. And if we didn't resolve the communication issue, then all contact would be ended until her parents made contact with us, and we make a plan for the next few months, including DNA and then birth arrangements. Said that if the baby is his, we will travel there for the birth and first few weeks after. He told her that I personally think it probably is his baby, but I want to be sure and make sure everything is done right from the start. Well, Bree blocked him with a reply, and he is totally heartbroken, not eating, sitting in his room all day and night. Not mad at me, surprisingly. Very, very sorry for him and to us, sad about it all, and I think regretful. He even asked me if there was a way to undo it for himself. I haven't talked about signing over rights, a male abortion, his father called it, because I think he's just upset right now. A mutual friend of Bree and Ollie's here in our hometown showed him a few posts she has made in the last 24 hours, things like, "It's you and me against the world, baby girl," and memes about deadbeat dads. She also announced the pregnancy, which she hadn't done yet, and the post had some single mother facts and quotes. Ollie's friends knew about the situation, and a few were under the impression he had dumped her and the baby going by the posts. But when he explained that what had happened, they all rallied for him in the comments. I said not to, and now she's blocked them, and we can't see what she has posted. This is just a nightmare I have had a plan personally, not set, but something I wanted to talk to her parents about. But I don't even want to waste my time at this point. Ollie gave us Bree's parents' email address to send an email to. With said plan, basically, Bree does DNA blood test, we will pay the full $1,500 for it. If it is his baby, we can book flights and plan to be there for the first month. I'll stay too with Ollie, maybe even the whole family, and then we can also work on a parenting plan and getting into mediation for a judge to sign off on it. Ollie's father and I spilt for the first 7 months of his life. So we have done this before, and we know the process, but at this point I think I will just leave it to settle before sending an email update. 3. Ollie's friend was able to see her Instagram through a old account, different email? I don't use Instagram enough to know what that means, but it meant they weren't blocked when they reactivated. They found the pregnancy announcement post, and if you scrolled across it showed a digital copy of the scan Bree sent us as a 16-week scan. Apparently the first scan she had at the OB that is dated 04/04 and clearly says GA 19 plus 3 weeks, making an August due date, I believe, or very early September. This would not line up with the due date given to us, but does line up with when her parents told me she was pregnant mid-April. They told us, "We've had the pregnancy confirmed," and sent a photo of the printed pic, which the date isn't on there. I actually think it may have been cut off the top. I haven't told Ollie this yet, because I want to be sure. I am very concerned about his mental health at the moment and taking that into consider it, but unless she gave the wrong period dates and the baby measured only 16 weeks, then it's not possible for it to be our son's. Also added information, her due date from what we know if September 22nd. She was here from December 20th to Jan 7th and saw Ollie December 21st and 22nd and January 4th and 5th. Never overnight. I asked Ollie when did this happen, and he said January 4th was the only time, which makes more sense as they were in public gathering. Otherwise they were at a mutual friend's birthday that night, but never stayed overnight. I have had 5 kids, and I know the dates are too close to figure it out that way. Ollie also said that the joke Bree made was to just see if it happens, the pregnancy, because then it's obviously meant to be and he would be able to move. To me, it sounds like she had the plan a lot longer, but I may be biased here. Update 4. I spoke to Bree's biological father lives in this town who had no idea about any of this. Before you come for me, there was no known DV or anything. I felt I had run out of options at this point, and I just wanted a way to contact them. Bree's mother then made contact, agreed to the blood test if we paid for it. Ollie and Bree spoke again, and Bree asked to come here for a holiday and have an ultrasound with him to prove dates in person. I agreed to this, but I may not be thinking straight with the stress we have all been under. She says she is 26 weeks, sent him a photo of her belly which has grown, and told him there is no other option but him to be the father, that the ultrasound had to go by her last period date, and she didn't remember, so she went by her app, and it was the period before. That's why the dates are out on the scan. I asked if she had a physical booklet of pregnancy notes or something because I know from experience that they have all the confirmed information on them, but she said everything is digital with her doctor, and I didn't want to push because it's not my medical info. I'm wondering if I do just fly her out here on my own terms. Her mother agreed, and do the blood and ultrasound here, and put an end to it. All update 5. We all come to a travel arrangement. We paid for Bree to fly out, and her father was paying for the ticket home. Bree was supposed to fly to us this morning, and stay for 6 weeks, total flying back, sometime in August. Her father's in charge of that flight. She was staying with us over these next few weeks while we do our annual July 4th family vacation for a week, and then a couple more weeks back here at home for the ultrasound blood test. This was decided together, both families, because Bree and Ollie would like to have some kind of positive experience, memories during the pregnancy, and obviously if baby wasn't his, Bree would be taken to her father's, and we would be finished with it all, but she never turned up for her flight. She texted the night before that the doctor did not recommend. She should not travel as she is at risk of preterm labor due to her age, and her severe morning sickness makes her only be able to tolerate pineapple juice, so she is needing to be hospitalized and maybe even deliver early. This is on top of a group photo that included Bree, obviously pregnant in a tight tee, hugging the boy she was dating in her new town, his hand on her belly. It was quickly removed from her story when Ollie asked, "I think it was intentional to make him jealous. I am done. I do not believe her or her parents. I have contacted a lawyer and therapist. I will not be updating again until I know the outcome of the DNA test, that I assume will not be done until after the baby is born, since I was told today. I cannot force her to have while pregnant. If this baby is Ollie's and my grandchild, I am willing to move Bree here and have her live with us. It has no chance, and will continue to ruin my son's life, from afar. Update 6. I didn't plan on updating priors to the DNA test, but I can confidently say we do not need it to know the truth. We will likely still do one if Bree sticks to her story. Only I will go through the courts at this point. We have a family lawyer, and he has advised, these updates are fine, as long as I do not identify anyone by name, location. I had a lot of helpful messages on here, and I do read them all even if I don't reply. One was from a radiographer who suggested that I look at the measurements of the baby on the ultrasound, if I am able to get scan pictures and then use that to calculate if the baby was 16 weeks on that scan. I have kept that idea in mind if I ever got the chance to see the scan myself. The same Redditor also raised concerns that she only had this one scan at 16 weeks, and there wasn't a 20-week scan again. 4 weeks later, all OBs would do a scan at 18 to 22 weeks. The one photo we have seen is a photo of a scan, a profile shot of the baby's face at 16 weeks, and there hasn't been another scan since then. We have been playing it safe and being very careful with how we tread around Bree, not wanting to cause any arguments. We have no mentioned this to them yet, and if by chance someone tells them via this post or they know about this post, we don't care. We have nothing to lose since the baby isn't Ollie's. And this is how I know Bree and Ollie have many mutual friends, but only one other girl, Hannah, who is still friends with both of them from within the group. Hannah believes Ollie is the father, because that's what Bree says, but she had a falling out with Bree this week. It led to her talking to Ollie, and then she sent Ollie a video that Bree sent her after the ultrasound in April. Prior to this, Bree had told her not to show him because he wasn't going to be in the baby's life by choice, and all the things she was posting about deadbeat dads. The video shows multiple measurements being done, and I was able to see clearly that the baby measured 19 weeks, and that scan was the 20-week scan. There is no way that baby is Ollie's baby. She is due August 26th. Ollie knows all of this and is doing okay. Very angry, but he has the support he needs. What happens now, we don't know, but we know the truth. All we can do is speculate as to why my son was the target of this plan. I know we will likely never know the truth. To clear some things up, I will not be taking this up with Bree and her family until after the baby is born. I am not concerned about the DNA test results, but will still do one. In the video, the OB nurse, whoever it was doing the scan, says, "So your due date is August 26th, which lines up perfect for you last period." So I know that's the due date, and you can clearly see the numbers on screen showing the measurements are 18 to 19 weeks. Ollie cannot be the father. She wasn't even in the state. There is plenty of other more detailed clues I have but will not post. I think the father is the boyfriend in that town, but what I don't understand is why Ollie was better. Yes, there is more money, but we aren't rich, we just live smart. Thanks for the support. Update 7. We have a baby. Last update, baby K was born September 1st, 2025. It'll be 4 O's. She was induced for being post-due date. Ollie visited a few hours after the birth with me. Her mother and sister were there when we asked to visit but were gone when we got there. The whiteboard on the wall that had all the birth details also stated her EDD 0826. Ollie didn't say much. He's very receptive to the fact the baby is most likely not his and still in therapy. But I think he loves Bree, and I'm not sure how to navigate that. Ollie went down to the cafe to get her something for her to eat, as her mother had apparently forgotten to bring food. Since it was just us, I took my chance. I asked her about the EDD on the board. Nicely, I told her no one is upset with her. I too am wary about the possibility that the home situation is unsafe, and she may be trying to escape. I told her Ollie knows already. He has for months. He's not angry. He is worried, and he even knowing she lied. He wanted to come here and be with her and the baby. I told her what I know to be the truth, as his mother. There was nothing Bree could do that would keep him angry enough to cut her off. She broke. I think it was the fact she was so tired and had just had a baby. The hormones and probably mental load that would come with her lies. I feel a little bad, but I'm glad I asked. Bree admitted to me she knows it's not possible, and she was very, very sorry. She wanted to move back to our city. She didn't want to live with her mother and stepfather anymore. In fact, she never wanted to leave, and her dad had said no, she couldn't live with him. The pregnancy never planned originally, but she came up with the idea herself when she found out they were coming back for the holidays. I asked who the baby's father was, and she never got to give me an answer, but I think it's the boy from her town. I had asked that directly, and she shrugged, but no confirmation as Ollie came back, and she shut down again. I told Ollie that Bree had made a mistake, and she was sorry, and Ollie said he knew, and it was okay, that the baby was cute regardless, which I laughed at the ridiculousness that is my life. What a childish thing to say. I didn't ask her about her mother knowing or anything. I was cautious not to set her usual defensiveness off. We left not long after, and Ollie and Bree are still talking via text. Ollie right now has asked me not to ask for the DNA as Bree is struggling with her own mental health, like most of us do with that hormone shift. That's all I have to update on. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. In your last post you mentioned you'd still do a DNA test for clarify of mind. Is that still in the plans after her confession? And I assume you managed to get last-minute plane tickets to get there a few hours after her birth? Or you took a super long drive? Being parent is never an easy job, not even when they've grown up. You're doing good supporting and protecting your son. Take care. Reply. We knew her induction date and flew out 2 days prior. I'm not sure on the DNA stuff right now. Ollie wants to leave it as long as she tells everyone it wasn't his baby. For now I am just letting things be. I think she is really struggling. Is there any chances that the child could be the stepdad's? Reply. A lot of people say this, and no, we do not believe that to be the case. There is a lot of evidence that the baby is the other ex-boyfriend's. I don't think so. I was told he can't have more children, had the snip, But I do believe she trying to escape the house and return to her father, because someone in the house may be a risk. I'm not commenting on that though. I've tried to avoid commenting at all, but I think too many people believe it could be something like that. And I do not believe the stepfather is a danger. My concern has been raised with others. Commenter 2. It might help to talk to Ollie about love. We often sit our foster kids down and talk to them about love, because they have obvious trauma and confusion. If I really love my parents, then I can't care about my foster parents or my foster family. Ollie loves her. And that's okay. He's young and it's really hard for him because he feels like she is his soulmate, and that he will never love another person the way he loves her. This is true. The way we love someone is individual to that person. But love is not finite. Love is generous. We can love many people. We ask our foster kids to make a list of all the people they love, like mom, dad, siblings, grandparents, friends, pets. We even encourage them to add things like internet people and sites, games and toys. It's typically not hard to get them to make the list. Most of them are able to put together at least 10 things pretty quickly. Although we do give them the examples like mom, dad, pets, toys. Wow. Look at how much love you have. This leads to complex conversations because of situations that create foster kids. But for Ollie, this leads to the conversation that the love he has for the different things on his list are different. It's possible that he may even be able to differentiate between the way he loves his dad and the way he loves his mom. I love the way mom-dad does this for me. Things like teaching him how to dunk a basketball or hugs or caring for him when he's sick. Talk to him about how now he loves Bob, his best friend, but how his best friend used to be Adam. Does he still love Adam? He may still, but talk to him about how maybe that love has changed over time. Siblings, cousins are also good. When your little sib was born, did that mean that you loved your older sibs less than before? Or did your love grow and you love your little sib just as much as your older sibs? Encourage the conversation about his list, and about his love and the way he loves different things on the list. Don't point out that there are differences between the way he loves some things and the way he loves her. This is not the time to point out that his love for her might be more hormonally and chemically driven than the love he has for other things. You need to emphasize that love expands. The love that he has for her is not the last love he'll ever have. It's okay if his love for her changes over time. It's okay to love her. You don't expect him to turn that off. But in your experience, you feel that his love for her will change over time. Don't refer to her as a crush, because Ollie will fight that. Because a crush is different from love in his mind, and what he has is 100% true love in his mind. Too often teenagers who have never loved anyone romantically believe that the first person they love romantically is their true love or their soulmate, and they will never be able to love anyone the way they love that person, which is true. The way you love someone is specific to every person. However, the fire of their first love is not the only fire they will ever experience in their entire life. I think it's just important to reassure him that this isn't his only chance, that there may be another love out there for him. It's okay to love her, but also in the future, to love someone else. As he gets older, and as time separates him from this situation, there's plenty of opportunities to talk to him about the difference between lust and love. And that true love is built on more than just the chemical rush. Good luck. I feel like you've done a really nice job of handling this situation so far, Ollie. Is really lucky to have you. Commenter 3. It's definitely a blessing. As a teen mom, to be post-induced rather than an early induction. Due to her age, I hope everyone is doing well, especially your son. I can't imagine how he could be feeling even if he is still contacting Bree. Big props to you, Mom, for doing your best at staying steady throughout this whole situation. I will say, though, it'd be best for the child to know who their father is. Not that that is any of your concern at this moment, since the timing and everything, and knowing it's not Ollie's child. But I hope Bree and her parents make it a priority to assure the child has a knowing of their bio dad. I've seen some cases where that's not the case, and it's a sad outcome in every way. Stories number 9. 27F have been baby-trapped by my husband, 29M. And I don't know what to do. I am a 27-year female. Almost a year ago, my longtime partner, a 29-year man, got married because I got pregnant last spring. We have been together almost 10 years, Our baby is almost 9 months. I had one foot out the door last spring and told him I ran out of the pill. Because I was between jobs and my insurance had lapsed, so don't finish in me. He has since stated he got angry that I said that, and crossed that boundary on purpose and got me pregnant. I was scared and just wanted to do the right thing by my baby. Looking back, I wish I had just ran away and never told him anything. But we rushed a courthouse shotgun wedding. The reception was probably the most embarrassing day of my life. I was deep in denial while pregnant that everything would get better and work out. Obviously it hasn't, because babies don't fix relationships. I already knew that and feel so stupid for letting this all play out like it has, in stupid hopes it would be okay. Over the course of our relationship, my husband has been emotionally and verbally abusive and controlling. He obviously sees nothing wrong with how he treats me and blames me for it. I have started reading, Why Does He Do That? And it's really opened my eyes to the extent of the abuse I've endured over the years. He has ruined all of my friendships, created a rift between me and my dad. The only person I have left is my mom because she understands what I'm going through, but she won't come around when he is home. Today I asked him for the 4th documented time for his pay stubs for some paperwork we need to submit, and he blew up at me in front of our 9-month-old baby. Something he does frequently. I took her to her room and closed the door. Girlfriend, his volatile emotions have begun scaring her. He spent 20 minutes yelling about me and how I have my foot on his neck. About something that isn't due until the end of the month. I've asked him at least 4 times over the last month to please get me the pay stubs and have been polite each time. I literally have receipts. Anyways, he picked the door lock and came in and took my daughter from me, distressing us both. He just held her away from me and said, if I wanted to leave then go, but I wasn't taking her with me. He knows I would never abandon her. This was his plan all along. To get me in a position where I just can't leave. Other instances include when I was hospitalized for preeclampsia while pregnant. I had to manage care for my dog because he couldn't be bothered to take him outside. I was walking my dog 2 days postpartum with dangerously high blood pressure at night in the snow, because he thought I should be doing 50-50 after a major traumatic medical event. I took the dog on every single walk since I got him, until the day I was hospitalized. Where was the 50-50 then? Called me a lazy, fat, stupid bitch 5 months postpartum. He has never once woken up with our baby at night. But I'm lazy? He doesn't change diapers or bathe her, or set up her appointments, or know what she can eat. I have so much brain fog I can't even remember a lot of the past few years. Those are just recent examples. How do I get out? In NY state. I'm afraid to leave because I will not give him any custody. I truly believe my daughter would not be safe if left alone with him for an extended period of time, and that is not worth the risk to me. But I know it's damaging her to see her mother being treated like this every day. I'm so ashamed. I've allowed this man to manipulate my life like this. I thought I knew better. I am autistic, so I tend to be too trusting and am used to not being treated very well. I guess. Please help me navigate this. Other women who have escaped non-physical abusers. How did you get you and your children out? Comments. Commenter 1. Get to a domestic abuse shelter. ASAP. Get your important paperwork together for yourself and the baby. Wait until he has left for a good amount of time. Forget your stuff. Just take what is necessary for you two to survive. You'll get new stuff later. I hope you can find the strength to get through these next couple weeks, because you are literally fighting for your life. You have got to make sure that you are in survival mode until you get away from him. Once that happens, you'll at least be able to breathe and relax for a moment. But only a moment, cause then you hit the ground running. Signing up for food stamps, WIC, housing, jobs, any and everything, to put you in the position to never need this bum again. Reach out to old friends and your father. Try to find people who you could lean on for help. Please don't get discouraged because you are fighting for someone more important than yourself, more important than him, and it will always be worth the effort and time. Commenter 2. Can your parents take in you and the baby? You should start recording any outbursts on his part immediately, if you can do so safely. I'm talking about your phone in your pocket, and maybe a nanny cam, to see how he is around your daughter. This includes how he is when he's alone with her, for your own knowledge, and hopefully peace of mind, if he's a decent father when you are out of the equation. It's one less thing for you to worry about if he's awarded custody. But I would see if you could confide in your parents, with the intent on getting help to leave. Not just to vent. The recordings of how he is with you could help you get a restraining order and help with custody. Please do not record if you cannot safely do so. Don't take the phone out of your pocket where he may see you do so. Has the type to think you're talking to someone or suspect what you're doing, and things could get worse. From there, this all depends on whether you can get the support of your parents, if there's nobody else. If you can't, it's an entirely different kind of advice you need, so please start there and update, so people can give advice accordingly. You can do better and deserve better. And your child deserves a better environment. I could not wait for my parents to divorce. And I carry their issues with me at age 30. In my own relationships. Do it for your child, you are not trapped. Edit. I meant if he's awarded any custody. Not full custody. There's no reason he will get full custody, if you want custody. Based on this post, reply I have begun recording his outbursts to keep record of the abuse I am afraid to take the baby and leave to my dad's house as he would escalate from there. I have to be careful and make a plan. Commenter 3. You need to consult a family law attorney. Many have free consultations if you are not able to afford one. That said, from my experience of seeing my dad be an abusive deadbeat, but the kind to fight my mom in court about everything, just to have some sort of control over her, the unfortunate answer is you are most likely going to be stuck in NY until your daughter is 18, if he wants any kind of custody of her. It is true since you are married, and no custody order is in place. You can technically take your daughter anywhere without his consent, as can he too, though by you. But all he would have to do is file an emergency custody petition and you would be forced to bring your daughter back. Judges nowadays see one parent up and taking the kid as alienation of the other parent, and that is enough for them to sign an order to bring the child back to whatever state dad is in. You need a lawyer, and only follow that lawyer's advice. Reddit is full of people who truly don't know family law and think they know how the system works when the reality is often very different. Best of luck to you. Reply. Thank you so much for sharing your experience with this. He is absolutely vindictive enough to fight me in any way he can, regardless of how it impacts our daughter. That is why I haven't just left, because I know if I can, the chances of him trying the same and disappearing are much higher. I have to move very carefully. Yes, I could go to my father's house, but that is only a temporary escape, and it will cause him to escalate. Stories number 10. I will confront you by Wednesday of this week. This happened about 10 years ago, but the email I received from our boss was so epic I preserved it. Context. The second year I worked at this company, our holiday party was held on a dinner cruise boat. Our boss footed the bill for dinner and an open bar, and a few other companies also hosted their own parties on the boat at the same time. Since I was underage at the time, I did not drink and actually left early with my date. Everything was fine when I left the Monday after. I rolled into the office, the first person there, and was greeted with this email from our boss identifying details removed. Good morning to all. I hope all of you had time to recuperate and reflect about the unusual chain of events and circumstances at this year's Christmas party. Some of you went home early and did not take in the full range of events. Unfortunately, some of our staff got out of hand, including the spouses. Things were said, and things were done, that quite frankly were very inappropriate also. We had people from the adjoining group that decided to take advantage of our open bar and co-mingle with our group in regards to the inappropriate behavior. I am not going to go into all of the details, but let it be said that the root cause was probably due to the open bar. Some of our staff decided that the open bar meant that the drinking could be unlimited, not only in how much, but how they drank. As a result, some our staff and spouses decided that shots were okay. Shots were ordered for some who do not even drink. Shots are not okay at a company Christmas party. Other staff and spouses got multiple drinks at once for themselves and for people not even in our group. Others decided it was okay to get openly drunk and belligerent, to the point of making racial slurs. I'm guilty of attacking someone from the other group after he decided to retaliate by groping my wife. Having thought about the circumstances and the fact that we have to work together as a firm and team, some of you need to apologize for your behavior and/or for the behavior of your spouse. We specifically implemented a no fraternization policy, and some of you could get fired on that alone. while other staff exercise no restraint over their spouse for their drunken condition. It is not okay for a spouse to misbehave. Just because he or she is not an employee, many careers have been destroyed, and people get fired due to the conduct of their spouse. You are expected to exercise constraint over your spouse, or take them home. And if that cannot be done, then you should not bring your spouse in regards to the firm's policy on drinking. There will be no more open bars. Unfortunately, some of you and your spouses exercise extremely poor judgment. Because of this poor judgment, it puts the firm at risk. Given the poor road conditions that night, some of you could have ended up dead. It is also unfortunate that a few have to ruin it for the whole group. I would like to start the apologies by stating I am sorry for not handling the situation that I was confronted with in a different manner. I feel embarrassed, and it was not conduct befitting of the firm's president. I also felt betrayed by some of you for patronizing the one individual from the adjoining group, whose behavior was lewd and offensive, not to mention the outright theft by running up our bar tab. I invite others to make some form of apology, either by email or in person, for what they did or said, or what their spouse did or said. You can do this voluntarily, and you know who you are. Or I will confront you by Wednesday of this week. I do not intend to ignore what happened. If I have to confront you, you could lose your job. I will be available Monday and Tuesday late afternoon. Or you can email me and/or others. Let's not let this one incident stop us from being one company in field. We have a lot going for ourselves, and let's keep it going. Update. Every year around the holidays, I see my original story reposted by you, and it always makes me laugh how much people get a kick out of it. I often see people asking for updates. At this point in time, the events in question occurred over a decade ago, but I'm happy to give an update from what my fuzzy memory recalls. I was, as you can imagine, gobsmacked by the email, so once a friendly coworker arrived at the office, I grilled her for more of the details. According to her, basically everyone got totally hammered. A coworker of ours spotted a friend from another party on the boat and let him rack up his drink bill on our company's tab. The friend also grinded with the boss's wife on the dance floor, leading to a physical altercation. My boss punched the guy, apparently, and an argument of unknown origin started between the boss's son-in-law and a coworker's spouse, where she called him a black man, the N-word. None of my coworkers were fired. Over the debacle, a few shared their apologies by email. The most egregious behavior, the coworker with the racist spouse was apologized for privately looking at the company website. Besides the owner, only one other coworker remains with the company. I am friends with a couple former coworkers, not the one with the racist spouse, on social media, and they seem to be doing fine. The company is still in business. As for me, I was laid off from my position with that company after a few years, have since moved to a very big city where I work in an adjacent field but a lot further up the ladder. All of my company holiday parties since have been extremely uneventful in comparison to that one. In fact, at my current employer, I help organize our holiday parties every year. We do not do open bars. Oh, and that was obviously the biggest train wreck of a holiday party during my employment at that company, but not the only awful one. My first year there, our holiday bonuses were determined by a handheld game of Deal or No Deal. This meant some people who had been there for years got $20 as a bonus, and some who had been freshly hired received $200. It was bizarre and off-putting, to say the least, to answer the frequently asked questions I've seen. It was a very small company, less than 15 people, closer to 10 while the word groping is used. Those who witnessed it described the boss's wife as consensually participating in dirty dancing rather than something like assault. Of course I wasn't there though, so obviously I cannot confirm. I was able to leave the cruise early, because the boat only went out on the water for an hour before parking on the dock again. The friend of my coworker got free drinks via my coworker ordering the drinks for him. We had wristbands to indicate we could use the open bar. Stories number 11. Aita for making kid cry at a birthday party. It was my child's birthday party. She turned 7. We invited 10 girls, all in the 7-8 age range. Next to the obvious snacks, sweets, play activities, I decided to do a couple of games where kids could win prizes. We did 8 games, like bingo, pin the broom, etc., and had 8 prizes. It was a drop-off, but parents were welcome to stay if they wanted. One girl, whose parent wasn't there, was having a hard time every time she lost. I comforted her, All the girls did, and my daughter even gave her a little toy of hers to keep overall. It was a fun party. The next day, I talked to the girl's mom, who is a close friend of mine, and asked her if her daughter had a good time and if she was okay, mentioning that she had a couple of meltdowns. The mom asked me if there was a prize for every girl, and I said no, just 8 for every win. But of course there were party favors at the end of the party. The mom was a little upset, but nothing too bad, and I thought that was that. Then, after I canceled a playdate, she texted me that I have made her kid upset twice this week. Needless to say, she was having feelings about it. I met up with her and told her that I'm not responsible for her child's reaction or feelings. She disagrees. It was my choices of not having a prize for every kid that made her upset, and that was not okay. I think she wants an apology from me, but I'm over here just thinking, in what world is it okay to blame your child's feelings on someone else? She also said that it was supposed to be a fun time for her, but now she got a lesson on winning from me, and it wasn't my job because I'm not her parent. I'm just, wow, no words, more info. Canceling the playdate was unrelated to this. Hence, she texted me, after canceling the playdate, "You've made her cry twice this week and 6 out. Of the 11 girls, one a game girl started crying after round number 2. Cried every time she lost until my daughter gave her a prize somewhere around round 5 to 6. Comments. Commenter 1. NTA 8 years old. If she is expecting to win every activity she takes part in, life is going to be very challenging. It's not your failure as a party planner. It's her fault for not having realistic expectations ever set for her child. Reply. Exactly, when she said she got a lesson from OP and that wasn't her job, she should have said, I should be the one upset right now because you left your child with me, and she is clearly not prepared to be left without their parent present. Winning and losing is something children should be learning much younger than 8, as playing games is a large part of what children do together. Your child was the only one who had an issue with it, and that's on you, not me. Please next time look in the mirror before accusing others for your child's feelings. Because you're right. It wasn't my job to teach your child a lesson. It was your job, and you failed to do it. Edit. Thank you for the awards. First ones I've ever gotten. Commenter 2. Not everyone is going to get a prize, but the number of prizes offered was unfortunate. It means almost all kids won a prize, and only a few did not. It probably would have been easier to accept if there were only a couple prizes offered. The child was young, so it's understandable that she got upset. The mom should know better, though. Commenter 3. At my 7th birthday party, I lost past the parcel. The prize was a Barbie. It was my birthday. I'd literally already received 30 presents from all the guests, including multiple Barbies, and my dumb 7-year-old ass didn't realize that my mom had stopped the music to win the Barbie on a little girl that she knew wasn't well off and didn't have many toys. I threw a tantrum. I am ashamed to say I cried and stamped my foot, accidentally kicking another child. My mother whisked me away immediately and banished me to my room for the rest of the party, and told the other children that I had to stay there because I had misbehaved so much. Well, I never again in my life was a sore loser. I was genuinely sorry and actually knew I deserved it. That was actual parenting with real consequences, even though it was birthday. That little girl's mother is doing her such a disservice. NTA, but her mother is. Commenter 4. Well, now you know why the little girl was having so much trouble regulating. She isn't receiving any help with processing hard emotions. NTA, but that mom is. Stories number 12. My date to the office Christmas party is a co-worker. The small regional office for the big company I work for has a lot of people from different teams all thrown together in the same space 2 years ago. A colleague on a completely different team, and I started dating. It's going very well. We've moved in together. We immediately made a professional behavior at the office rule, and we have been very good at following it. But I'm not sure how to act at the Christmas party, which is off-site and more relaxed, and everyone is bringing their partners. It's not a secret that we're together, but it's possible that many people in the office don't know, 1, we're dating, or 2, that he's not with his previous partner anymore. I doubt anything we can do could stop people from talking. How can I conduct myself at the party and feel good about my behavior? What's the right mix of professional and not hiding the fact that we're together? Update. thank you, and the commenters who told me to just be matter of fact. I'd been feeling uncomfortable about the office not knowing we were together. So when you said I could use the opportunity to come out, I decided to do that. I had this conversation about 6 times. Colleague. What are you doing for the holidays? Me. Falcon and I are spending a Christmas with this family in far-off place. Colleague. Oh, are you two together? Me. Yes. Early in the evening the response was generally, congratulations plus general talk about traveling. Later in the evening there was on open bar. I got more questions about details and even had a group raise their glasses and toast. Us as a normally private person, I wanted to die of embarrassment a few times, but it was also nice to see that my colleagues care about me and like him. The next day at the office everything was fine and normal. Happy holidays. Update. 4 years ago I wrote in because my date to the office Christmas party was a co-worker, and then I sent an update when the party and following days were drama-free. This is an update for a pretty low-stakes question, but I always love seeing other people's updates. We are still together and have just had a baby. Shortly after, I wrote initially, we got a little worried about both working for the same company if there was economic trouble, so we both started job searches. He found a new job, and I stopped looking. Then his old team got laid off in the early days of COVID. Now we are feeling double grateful, both for surviving pandemic layoffs and having a charming new addition to our family. Happy holidays. Stories, number 13. Apparently we have to share our driveway, because they have to share theirs. We moved into my home when my daughter was 2 months old. Our neighbors were already showing signs of being a handful. They initially kept parking all of their vehicles, a huge truck, a Jeep, and a motorcycle on our driveway and taking up the entire space. We hoped that once they realized the driveway wasn't vacant and that someone had moved in, that they would naturally stop. And they did sort of. The guy living next door kept driving down it on the motorcycle, and he would park it in the middle of the driveway still. Most of the time he was gone before my husband and I got home, so there wasn't a confrontation. But when my husband had to deploy and I broke my leg, our car sat vacant in the driveway, unmoving. As soon as the neighbors realized this, they just started using it as if it were their own again. He even parked his truck and used our driveway to change out his lifted tires. This went on for 3 months until I was well enough to walk up the steps and talk to them. I'm 5'2", and this guy towers over me. I don't know how to explain it, but everything about his body language tells me this guy is dangerous. The way he walks and moves and wears his clothes, he gives me time served in jail vibes, though. He was probably somebody's bitch, or at the very least hothead. So I was nervous and polite but firm. I said, I need you to move your motorcycle off my driveway. This is not a shared space, it's private property. I hoped that would be the end of it. Of course it wasn't. He never really stopped. That wasn't the worst of it either. They live on the top unit of their house, it's a condo, and leave their trash can open at the bottom of their steps, same side as my driveway. They drop down the whole week's worth of trash into the trash can below, and don't bother to clean up the mess they make. Initially, they left it open for the bugs and the animals to be attracted to. One day I came home with my daughter while my husband was still deployed, and I got swarmed horror movies style by all the bugs from their trash can. I was scared. I know it's silly to be scared of bugs, but I was worried they would bite my daughter, and they did. We both got inside covered in welts on our arms and the back of our necks and our faces. We both have overreactive skin when we get bites, so they become big, round, red welts. It wasn't the first time, but it was the worst. I decided to message the property manager. The whole property was trashed and was the obvious cause of a lot of the mosquitoes. They have a sign outside their house that says, managed by. I texted that number and let her know what was going on, and sent pictures. It was a weekend, about 7 or 8 a.m., and I didn't know it wasn't a business number. The woman was extremely offended that I messaged her early, and on a weekend she seemed so angered by it that it was obvious she wasn't going to help. I asked her if I could have the landlord's number. Big mistake. She isn't just managing the property, she owns it. That's not what the sign outside said, but that was enough to shut down all communication with her. She did mention it to my neighbors, and they did start to close their trash can lids, but I could tell that however she worded it to them, I was the problem, and she didn't really care how much of a nuisance they were. She also included the downstairs neighbors that had just moved in the text, and from then on they gave me dirty looks too. I had specifically mentioned that I had not seen them contributing to the trash accumulation, but it didn't really matter. I was making a name for myself with my neighbors, and it wasn't good. Then the summer months came, and my husband came home, and the upstairs neighbors' kids began playing outside. More initially, I had a soft spot for them. We don't live in a cul-de-sac, and people drive fast down our street. I worried about them from far away, and considered talking to the city to get permission to paint a hopscotch pad out on the sidewalk out front, and build a free library they could enjoy. There's a blind spot. When you first turn into my driveway, and one day the kids were on it, and I turned in, I was probably 10 feet away from them with my car, but it felt closer. Some of these kids are really small. When I got out of my car, I asked them politely not to play in my driveway, that it's not safe. They kind of got bashful, because they were little, and agreed and zipped off to the front of the houses. But from then on they ramped up. It was like we had become the Boo Radley of the neighborhood. They threw toys that hit our windows and doors, started walking up to our house in the dark and sitting on our back porch like at 10 p.m. Then one day, encouraged by the eldest child who was 14, they broke a cinder block with a sledgehammer and threw the pieces at our house and windows. The worst things always seemed to happen when my husband was away on the ship overnight. Maybe they would see. The car was gone and feel emboldened. I went outside and told the kids to get off my property or I would call the cops. The eldest said, "Do it." What are they going to do? We're kids. It's a driveway. Get over it. So I called the cops. I had them properly tell the neighbors where the property line was and that we would start legal proceeding should they continue to trespass. I got more colorful no trespassing signs at the recommendation of the officer. I did this 3 or so times, and it became apparent that the police weren't really going to help. They said we had to file a civil case with the courthouse, but couldn't tell us the names of the adults in the home for us to file the claim. Otherwise, they said that unless the neighbors were actively on our property when they pulled up, that they couldn't even issue a citation. Even with video evidence from our cameras, I watched the children gather up the chunks of brick that they had thrown at our house, and they began to throw it at the downstairs neighbor's dog. At first I saw them throwing it where the dog usually was, but I couldn't see if the dog was there, and I hoped that he was away. But then one day I caught movement on my camera, and I knew for sure that the dog was getting rocks thrown at it. I contacted animal control, and they got a hold of the downstairs neighbors who weren't home at the time. The downstairs neighbor came over, and I told her I wasn't trying to be a menace neighbor, that I don't hate kids, and that I had noticed her kid was the most well-mannered of the bunch, which is true, and I showed her the video. We exchanged numbers. I wish I could say we found common ground and became friends or something, but the woman has to live with those upstairs neighbors, and I get the feeling she is just trying to stay in neutral ground, which I totally respect. The rocks stopped getting thrown at the dog, but we didn't talk much after that. She asked a few weeks later if I saw who stole her son's bike, and I looked through my cameras and hadn't caught it. Otherwise, we didn't talk. The kids would twerk or flip off our cameras and continue to trespass. The whole family was still littering all over the driveway, and the father intentionally revved his motorcycle as he would go down it every other day, sometimes inches from our vehicle. We scrimped and saved for a fence, and once we had most of the materials, applied for a permit from the city. We were recently gifted a lawnmower, and my husband has been spending more time doing yard work. Yesterday, the man next door blatantly went down the driveway while my husband was there and narrowly missed him with his motorcycle, probably on purpose. Angry words ensued, and the man got off his motorcycle still parked in our driveway, and we finally found out his logic. The reason he feels entitled to our driveway. He said that it's a driveway, and he's not hurting it or us by going down it. My husband said he's breaking the law by trespassing, and his kids have thrown rocks at our house. Harm is being done. The man said that his kids throwing rocks and him going down our driveway are separate issues. My husband said, "You're a family. It's not separate." Then the man's magnum opus of a statement. The reason he does what he does is because his landlord screwed him over and made him share the driveway with his downstairs neighbors, so we should have to share ours. The man egged us to call the police. But at this point, we had the permit processed. We had the fence panels. My husband laughed at him and said we have our own solution. 3 or so hours later, the man comes home to my husband putting up fence posts. They stand on their balcony as my husband works, and whisper to each other, but my husband can hear them. The man says, "That fucker, that's probably not even the correct line." And the woman says it is, because we have a survey, and the police told them where the line was. The man says it's not even that big of a deal. The best part is, it's going to be a beautiful fence. My husband's initial gut reaction was to get a 6-footer, but the city wouldn't allow us to take it all the way to the sidewalk. So we have these really nice Gothic picket panels and some pretty cedar stain and seal. And they didn't have the Gothic posts, so we used 2x4s instead, and we are going to put up really nice solar lights on them. We didn't put it directly on the property line, but we didn't leave them enough room to continue to bring their trash can down our driveway, and the motorcycle most certainly won't fit. I already have the plants I want picked out to plant next year. We are pretty broke, so they will have to wait. Don't think this is going to be solved by just putting up the fence. I wish it would be the end of it. But even though I hate confrontation, it was a relief to finally start working on a solution. It brings me joy to imagine them seething inside every time they look at our adorable Gothic fence with adorable solar lights. I hope it is as frustrating to them as this whole unnecessary ordeal has been for us. Small update. Apparently we have to share our driveway because they have to share theirs. So it's been 3 days since we started building the fence. My husband has gotten 3 posts in. He's working on it between weather, work, and a toddler. So it's going slow. We contacted the bottom neighbor and let them know that they will want to move a riding lawn mower that will get locked in place by the fence, and they are working on it. It has a dead battery, and, drumroll please, the wife of the upstairs neighbors actually asked us if it was okay for her kid to take his trash can down the driveway. This one last time he couldn't do it without asking because we had a lineup between the completed posts. I know that's not a huge victory, but it is the literal first time anyone from that family has asked anything, or even been a little polite. My husband allowed it, stating the fence will be up before they can bring the trash can back, so they will want to plan for that. It benefits us in our fence building for the trash can to be removed from its location anyway, because it's been butting against the property line. I know it's not the blood you're looking for, but I see it as a hopeful sign. Maybe this last act of grace will soothe some of their resentments, so the war can end. If not, we are still on our toes. I'll post a picture once the fence is up and update if we get any retaliation from Hothead Dad. And Juvenile Delinquent Son update too. Apparently we have to share our driveway because they have to share theirs. I am so tired of this situation. JFC, we were trying to be courteous to the downstairs neighbor, and we gave them a week's notice that the placement of our posts and panels will lock their riding lawnmower in place. They are not the tenants that we've had huge problems with. Their child and their dog walker have trespassed on our property though as well. I have no idea how a house in the middle of a through street ends up becoming the neighborhood alleyway. Anyway, I gave them notice a week ago about the fence and gave them time to move their lawnmower. Initially, the guy came out and tried to move it, but the battery was dead. He said he needed a couple days to get a new battery by a few days later. They aren't really communicating, and when I message saying my husband wants to complete the posts by the following day, the woman says that it's not a priority for her because she's dealing with a recent miscarriage and that her partner is working on it. Now he got the battery and managed to turn it on, but he still hasn't moved the lawnmower. He has left jumper cables and a gas can next to it indicating work. It is 2 days after he managed to turn it on, and the guy sat outside cooking burgers yesterday and didn't work on it at all. Neither of them have told me what the holdup is with moving the thing mechanically. I'm 5 months pregnant. I really empathize with her loss, but am I wrong for wondering why they haven't just popped that mower into neutral and pushed it? I know a few of you said I've been a doormat, and you aren't wrong. I've been very passive, hoping to resolve things amicably and without having to resort to a fence I couldn't really afford. But I am beyond frustrated with this ongoing situation, so tell me, how much longer should we wait before we put the post in behind the lawnmower? I don't want 2 families retaliating against me if possible, but I really want this project to keep moving forward. As for the other neighbors, they have started respecting the line, and they moved their trash cans to the other side of their house. Shocker. I'm still wary, but it's nice to see some progress update. Apparently we have to share our driveway because they have to share theirs cables. Once the lawnmower was moved, my husband went to complete the last remaining post, which was the one that would have been behind the lawnmower and was not the last post in the series, only to discover that there were 600-volt cables smack dab in the middle of where our final post needed to go. We had called 811 before beginning the project and had been given the all clear by all of the different companies, electric, water, gas, etc. We have no idea what these cables go to or if they are live. We called the electric company to come out on an emergency basis because my husband had been digging with a shovel and might have nicked it. They guy couldn't confirm if it was live and basically said just be careful. We got our own electric test kit and our equipment said it wasn't live. My husband dug carefully around it and was able to put the post in next to it. He does have some experience with electricity due to his job, so he was extremely careful. But I would not recommend copying us if you run into this current situation. I am getting inboxed asking for updates, so we managed to get all the posts in. My husband is in the process of sanding, staining, and sealing the posts and panels. The adults have stopped trespassing so far. The older kid still goes down our driveway. The downstairs neighbor has moved where they keep their dog, closer to their back door and our property line. But they've been keeping the dog on a very short leash attached to their door, and then throwing food on the ground like lasagna, hot dogs, pizza, etc. in the containers, and now there's just a mass of containers, and the biting flies and mosquitoes got so bad, we had to spray where my husband was working so he could finish the panels. I am worried about the dog who has to sit in those bugs. I am concerned about the accumulating trash and the resulting mosquito pools it's going to create. Initially, I wasn't sure if the trash was an accident, like maybe they dropped it, so I didn't get a picture of it before the dog ate the food. The food was left sitting out there for at least 2 days before the dog ate it. As well, I have no idea if how they are treating this dog is legal. I am also wary of the dog because the kids were throwing rocks at it. At one point, she does bark and growl at us, but seems to calm down when she realizes it's us. So I'm hopeful she knows we aren't a threat to her. But I worry about her experiences with kids, and possibly hurting my daughter, if she were to get off leash. I don't know what to do or if I should do anything about the dog. I feel like morally what they are doing is wrong, but I don't know if it's illegal, and I'm afraid to call or email someone about it, only for them to tell my downstairs neighbors that the Karen next-door neighbor is trying to report them for something that isn't illegal. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Solve one problem at a time. Finish the fence, then place up cameras. Then work on the next issue. Reply. We have cameras on our property. They just don't see the dog in the view. But that's the gist of it. 1 foot forward at a time. Commenter 2. It looks like you are the odd man out in this neighbor love triangle. That lawnmower and dog sabotage would be a good indicator of it. About the current issue. Yes, you absolutely should get this poor dog help. Make a series of videos of that dog situation from outside of your property, so you are not easily identified. Post it online. Link to animal help groups and local cops and news if you have to. Animal control, ASPCA, Humane Society, local animal rescue groups, and whoever else you can think of that may be interested in the video of the unfortunate pup and able to step in. She deserves far better than people tying her outside for kids to throw rocks at her and them feeding her literal garbage. Reply. There isn't really a way to report it anonymously. Technically, the dog is not visible from the street. They might assume that the upstairs neighbors complained, but most likely they would know it was me. That doesn't necessarily stop me, though. I will be compiling evidence. I actually have reported them before a few months ago, and I should likely have mentioned it in the post. Animal control did come out, and I assume talked to them about the laws and regulations. The only noticeable change was that some of the initial trash the dog was being leashed by was cleaned up, and it was then provided a food and water bowl, which I don't see anymore. OOP responds to a downvoted comment about serving the trespassers with the notice of trespass and call the police. Reply. Just to clarify. We own our own home, but our next-door neighbors are tenants that live in a house that is sectioned into an upstairs-downstairs condo. We did get a survey of our property line, and we called the police to enforce our boundary, but the neighbors ignored it. We called several times, but eventually it was clear that the police wouldn't do anything unless the law was being actively broken when they arrive. Hence, the fence. Stories. Number 14, ATA for forcing my wife to the doctor. I don't even know where to start with this. It's just a complete mess. I finally got her to the doctor, but it was like pulling teeth. The whole ride there she didn't say a word. Just stared out the window. It was rough. I was honestly hoping this would be it, that the doctor would just confirm everything I've been saying, and we could finally move forward. Then the nurse told her to step on the scale. My wife said she was 116, but the nurse just ignored it and started moving the weights. The number she ended up with was 106. I swear my stomach dropped. The doctor came in, looked at the numbers and told us she's dangerously underweight, and that her body was going to shut down if it wasn't already. She said we needed to get her into therapy and see a specialist immediately. My wife acted like she was hearing this for the first time, all shocked and quiet, but almost is, if on board, shaking her head up and down. I thought she'd be scared or at least a little concerned. But no, the whole drive home she was just pissed off. She started saying I set it up, that I got into the doctor's head and it all a lie. There was no talking to her. She just completely shut down and got super defiant. As soon as we got back to the house, she started packing a bag. I asked her what the hell she was doing, and she just said I disrespected her and couldn't be around me. So she took her pillows and her blankets and just moved to the basement. Now she's down there and I'm up here. She won't talk to me. I did the one thing I thought I needed to do, and it just made her hate me. I feel like I'm completely out of options. I'm just lost. I don't know what to do next. Comments. Commenter. 1. I would imagine that her eating disorder is similar to an addict and they often don't want to accept help and are mad if they are forced into it. Commenter 2. It sounds like she has a serious problem. There is a part of me wondering if they should have admitted her for psych eval. Sounds like we are talking about anorexia. Commenter 3. I have a family member who was treated for eating disorder. It was 3 months live in, and it turned her whole life around. She learned coping skills, and she is doing well 10 years later. She had terrible childhood trauma and will always be struggling with relationships, but she is stable, healthy, working full-time, living independently. She was a minor at the time of treatment, so her father accompanied her the whole 3 months he was nearby and doing family counseling alongside her care. I do not know how it would work to convince an adult to enter treatment, but I hope you can do so. Stories. Number 15. Aita for putting peanuts in my food. I recently got into a nice university, and it has only been 2-3 weeks since it started, but my life is already hell. I know that a lot of people have trouble with roommates, but my roommate F19 is pure hell. She eats my food, uses my blankets, takes stuff I need, like a pen drive or some dongles I had. Those aren't the problem since I barely use them, but my real problem is food. My mom specifically bought me a small car fridge so I could keep food in there without anyone taking it, and it actually even has a little lock on it. My roommate, being the roommate of hell, has gone as far as picking the lock to eat my food and then retorting, saying she thought it was for both of us, even though I clearly have stated all food in there is specifically for me. I even spend more money. I'm already a broke college student working a job to buy food that tastes good or is good for me. Since I like eating good food, my roommate barely makes food on her own, and she either orders out or steals food. I recently got into Asian food, and I love it. I try and make it home to the best of my abilities, but obviously it isn't as good as the restaurants. But every time I buy some from a local restaurant or meal prep, any food at all, more than 75% is gone. I've even gone as far as making 2 boxes of food, one specifically labeled with my roommate's name. She then eats hers and most of mine. And this bothers me since I often come back tired from the gym or work or a bunch of classes to find that most of my food is gone, and I do spend a bunch of time making them. So I am furious at her. Now here's the part I think I am the asshole. I made some pad thai yesterday morning for today, and then I immediately left. My roommate, though, stayed there for most of the day since most of her classes don't have mandatory attendance. And throughout the day, I got like 50 angry messages from her. But I didn't even notice them since I put my phone on silent and in my bag. When I come back to the dorm, I see her gone. I thought she left for her friend's place, since they meet almost every day later. I found out that she had an allergic reaction and had to go to the ER. Turns out she is allergic to peanuts and I didn't even know. And I drizzled peanut oil on it and put a bunch of chopped peanuts and nuts, all of it. And I didn't make her some, since I didn't have time yesterday. Now she has been yelling at me for putting peanuts in my food, something I would eat. Like she messaged me this, "I can't believe you did this to me. I had to pay money for something I don't have. She has more than enough." And the text goes on and on and on. She has been telling all her friends to DM me and tell me I am a monster for making something in my own food. I am confused here because she ate my food when she's not supposed to, but I did make her have an allergic reaction to it. I am sorry to anyone and everyone I keep offending by being a doormat or something. Edit 2. The RA is back, I told him and everyone above him, and I will be getting a new roommate. She will stay with me for like another week. Until then, I will be cooking with peanuts all the time and labeling everything I make as has peanuts. And also, I am a guy. Yeah, my university group's guys with girls. I don't know why, like 20 of you said this doesn't exist because of me being a guy. Oh, and also I changed it back to its normal spelling, but for some reason I can't change the title. And yeah, I might be a doormat and be an asshole to myself, but I feel that's better than to be one to others. Also, she apparently told me there are foods that smell like peanuts but aren't. I have no idea if she is telling the truth. I don't think so. And the photo of her face full of hives and rashes and all, it's pretty funny. She looks like a cartoon character right now. And I didn't say this, but she is putting on a huge amount of makeup to cover it. But that isn't helping. And she currently completely out of it. She tried putting on very light lipstick to cover it up, but that sorta broke. But I am happy now. She looks like a witch. And for the remaining 1 week we have together, it's gonna be fun. I am no longer cooking meals for her and putting peanuts in everything. Also labeling just in case, comments, commenter, 1. You need to report her repeated stealing and ask for a different roommate, commenter 2, has gone as far as picking the lock to eat my food and then retorting, saying she thought it was for both of us. What? Commenter 3. NTA plus peanut is a standard ingredient in pad, that if she doesn't even know what she's eating then she really is an idiot. Commenter 4, NTA. Fuck her would be putting peanuts in everything I made. If I were you, she can go be a mooching leech at her friend's house. You are in no way responsible for her or her degenerate thievery and bullshit. I had a roommate who used to do shit like that in college, spoke to him a million times about it. Would come in and just take food, clothes, medicine, anything. One fist fight later, he never came in my room again. Not recommending that for you since we both got in trouble with the RN, but don't let it get that far. Report her ass, get her the fuck away from you, and do not let her make you feel any negative way about this. This is 100% on her, and you've been more than nice this far. I just cannot get over the audacity and entitlement. The fact that she stole your food and got mad at you for the ingredients in something she was never supposed to eat is an impressive amount of scumbaggery. Stories number 16, WIBTA. If I broke up with my boyfriend because of his disability? Me and my boyfriend have been together for 3 years and have lived together for 1. He has fibromyalgia. It's a chronic lifelong condition that causes severe pain and tiredness. About 8 months ago, it got really bad. He really struggles. He has had to quit his job because he can't cope with it. He has tried a part-time job, but couldn't cope with it. He receives some benefits towards this, but not much. We are reliant almost entirely on my salary. I do get paid well, but it's not enough. We all know about the cost of living crisis. Our savings are gone. We are now at a point where we have no money. We have no outside financial support either. By staying with him, it feels like I am choosing a life of poverty. Having kids isn't even on the cards for us if we stay down this line. We will never buy a house. It sounds silly, but I miss name brand baked beans. I genuinely am starting to resent him when I eat. I can't do this anymore. I make good money and I am struggling like this. It feels like I have wasted so many years of studying and working hard. Even now I am doing overtime for what? We could break our lease at the end of the month. I could move back in with my parents, start saving again, Start eating good meals. He doesn't have that option. He will have to couch surf for a while with friends. To be real with you guys, I don't think he could do that for long when offering no money. It's disturbing to say. But we are only 24. I have a whole life ahead of me. We aren't married. I don't owe him my money or effort. I have nothing tying me to him other than the fact I love him. We could move to a cheaper area, but we don't have the funds to move. Also, to be selfish, I don't want to leave behind my family and friends. It's the only thing good I have right now. I don't know what to do anymore. WibTA. If I just upped and left? Edit. I wouldn't desert him at the end of the month. That we can all agree on is unjustly cruel. But maybe a good chat. And around the end of the year? IDK comments. Commenter. Fibromyalgia is not necessarily a progressive disease. It flares. He should seek a second opinion because maybe his condition has progressed to a point where it's actually a different condition. I've been through that. If not, he should determine what flares the fibro. Gluten, dairy, processed foods. These are all culprits. If he doesn't care to investigate, he's leeching. Commenter 2. I don't think you break up because he's disabled. You are on the verge of a burnout. You work and try and do to provide for both of you. And it still isn't enough for more than a basic life on top of him being at home, doing chores and helping him. I'd guess, I don't think you are the AH. It sounds like slowly everything's just too much for you to cope. Commenter 3. I live with chronic pain. It sucks, but it is a lifelong thing. You need to talk to him about your concerns. I personally think that if you are already about to bail, then you should just do it and get it over with. I am married and living with chronic pain means my wife has countless times gone to activities or events without me. I try and go to everything that I can, and I think she chooses to stay home 9/10 because of me, and I feel some guilt about that. I cannot tell you how much guilt I feel for putting my wife in this position, where I am constantly in pain, cannot make money, cannot do much of anything active. She is wonderful and has stuck with me through thick and thin. I gave her an out when I found out I was likely never going to work again, and she looked at me like I was crazy. Do not stay out of guilt. Commenter 4. NTA. You can leave a relationship at any time for any reason. Is he doing anything to help himself? Is he seeking treatments or doing anything himself to try and help? ETA. I have fibromyalgia. It sucks a lot, but there are many ways you can manage symptoms through medications and lifestyle changes. Stories number 17. I broke up with my boyfriend after his reaction to me almost getting assaulted, and I feel like I was petty for doing so. 19F21 Emma. Last night, I went out for dinner with my best friends and had a few drinks. When I got home, I sat on the doorstep to get some air before going inside. I was sitting with my knees folded to my chest and my head resting on them. After a while, our tenant, he stays at the servants' quarter, came out to check on me. We're not close, but we've had a few casual conversations before. At first, it seemed normal, but then he realized I was tipsy and started acting strange. He patted my head while talking to me, which made me uncomfortable. I pushed his hand away and told him to stop, and he did. But a few moments later, he suddenly reached into his pants, pulled out his dick, and told me I should give him head. I immediately sobered up, jumped up, and literally sprinted inside. Once in my room, I called my boyfriend to tell him what had just happened. But before I could even finish, he interrupted me with, "Mbona unaongea ni kama ulimpea head," Swahili for, "Why are you talking like you gave him head?" I was stunned. His first reaction was to basically accuse me, instead of protecting or comforting me. I felt so blamed for someone else's disgusting actions. It made me wonder if I were ever raped. Would he react the same way? When I asked him why he said that, he apologized and told me he didn't know why those words came out. He said he was angry at me for not calling him as soon as I got home. He has my location. But I can't shake how hurtful that initial reaction was. That was my breaking point. I told him I wanted to break up. Now I'm wondering if I was petty for ending things, or if I was right to trust my instincts. Comments. Commenter 1. 8 years ago, my partner and I were moving in together. It was Thanksgiving Day. I had packed all my stuff and my cat into my car, drove 6 hours to his family's property to pick him up, stay the night, and we were going to drive up to our new place the next morning. I finally got there. took care of my cat, and I was so excited to see him and start our life together, and ready to party at the Thanksgiving celebrations, after packing and moving and driving all day. At first he was really happy to see me too. Greeted me with a big kiss. We got drinks, hung out, and we did a little bit of private celebrating, just us wink wink. Well, I don't remember what we fought about, but we got into an argument about something. He physically pushed me out of his bed and said horrible things to me. I got dressed crying. But you know what? I still wanted to have a good night, so I went to see what else was happening at the party. Did I mention his family hates me? His family hates me. No one was overtly rude, but people were obviously excluding me and didn't want me around. The only person who was being nice and normal with me was this French guy who was there working on the family's property that season. So I hung out with him and a couple of the other workers. Well, maybe an hour later my partner comes up to me acting like nothing happened. Like he didn't just shame me, hurt me, and say some vile shit to me. I was still upset, and I was pretty cold to him. Eventually I was over the whole thing and sad because everyone was so mean, and just took my drink and went to sit in the laundry room and hang out with my cat. While I'm sitting there by myself with my cat, the French guy came into the room. At first he was just chatting, and I'm chillin' and whatever. But then he pulls down his pants, takes out his dick, and just gives me this weird look. I immediately yelled, "What the fuck?" While I'm freaking out and trying to get the fuck away from this dude, my partner comes in, and he starts yelling at me. He blamed me. What did you expect to happen when you led him on all night? I didn't. I was literally just being normal and hanging out. His family blamed me. Well, when you run around half naked, it's your own fault if something happens. I wasn't. I was wearing a full-length long skirt over leggings with a tank top. Everyone got mad at me and told me I had been asking for it. To make the rest of this very long story short, that happened in November. My partner hit me for the first time 3 months later in February. By that time we had signed a lease. His kids were in the picture. I was all by myself in a new city where I knew nobody but him. My cat was gone. I didn't have a job. I'd spent my savings setting up our new house and life. I didn't get out for 3 years. He tried to kill me twice. I wish I'd listened to my gut and turned around right then. Trust your instincts. You made the right decision. Commenter 2. For perspective, I'm a 42. I don't think you were petty. Being angry at you for not calling him as soon as you got home seems like gaslighting to me. Also, even if he were genuinely upset about you not calling sooner, your story should have immediately caused him to change focus to have care for you. You were sexually harassed and your ex felt his anger about you not calling sooner was more important. Commenter 3. No, you weren't petty for this. You rightfully left someone who at a time you were most vulnerable didn't have your back. This isn't a loving and caring partner. Defo call the police and log it though. If this creep does it to others as well, it will all build a car against him. Disgusting behavior from both of them. Commenter 4. Trust your instincts, woman. You have them for a reason. Always trust your gut. Yes, you have reason to question his response because he put the blame on you. That's exactly what happens in rape. One of the most common questions they ask is, what was she wearing? So because you were sat on your own steps minding your own business, it's your fault this guy came up and flashed you asking for head? Bollocks. Your unsympathetic boyfriend should have your back, not blame you. Totally not your fault. Stick to your decision. Stories. Number 18, I 40F own my home and 36A moved in with me. He thinks he doesn't have to pay rent since I paid for everything before he moved in anyway. Am I being unfair by insisting he gets a job and pay rent despite him feeling mentally ready for a job? He says I paid everything on my own before he moved in anyway, and it's not like heating the house costs any extra or anything. He contributes somewhat to groceries, but he eats way more than me. I say he adds to electric, water, wear and tear, and he feels it's so minimal. It shouldn't even matter. He doesn't have a job either. He's stressed and trying to get to a better place before job hunting. I agreed to supporting him for a few months. Yes, it was a legit reason to not work, but those few months have been well over a year, and my patience and niceness has worn off. He feels his helping around the house should be enough. He feels it is okay to lay in bed until 11 when I start work at 7:30 a.m. He also gets upset and says I'm controlling when I suggested him getting up at 8 a.m. to do a set amount of hours house cleaning and house projects. He's super handy. When I bring it up, he either gets defensive and a fight pursues, or he says things to play the victim. I sure wish I had the ability to have a good job like you. I tell him you do. You need to work for it. Or, I feel so unappreciated for all the hard work I do around here. You don't understand how much I do. And it's hurtful. He does what a normal person that pays rent and works should. I told him during an argument that he does barely over the minimum standard of what is expected for a grown adult that works 40 hours a week. We have discussed household, work expectations, and when I try to enforce it, he finds a way to blame it on something other than laziness. He cannot hold himself accountable. I feel that this is complete manipulation, gaslighting, BS. He has never lived independently, always with a girlfriend or roommate. I bring this up to other people and everyone tells me that he's probably just feels ashamed, or I bet he's just depressed, and that is why he is making excuses. I say that he could get a job, not lay in bed so long, not watch movies when I tell him I need help cleaning, and grow up. I say I feel he's gaslighting and being a manipulator, and I get told I'm being dramatic. So Reddit, is there something I'm missing? Could he possibly actually feel that me having him pay rent via money or labor is bad? Or is it all just gaslighting and me being dramatic? We discussed this in couples therapy 6 months ago and it went nowhere other than him wanting to quit therapy. I am adding the fact that when we first started dating, he did have a job. It was a seasonal job, and it was assumed he would go back. Then things happened, and he didn't go back. He was taking some time off. He did very minimal side jobs for cash here and there, 1 or 2 a month to pay for food and gas update. So I realized that unintentional gaslighting can be a thing. But either way, it's still manipulation. I was just trying to figure out if he was purposely or accidentally being the D-bag hobosexual he was claiming to be, a narcissistic turd, or just an inept man-child BTW. Never heard the word hobosexual before this, and I love it. And for everyone saying that I am ridiculous for allowing this for so long, yes, I have been. But it hasn't been an issue until recently, because he was very helpful with getting man stuff done around my house. I don't pay any of his bills. He just doesn't pay any of mine. My friends, WTF. Thank you, Redditors, for the overwhelming validation that they are toxic. Last night I said, hey BTW, I'm gonna have you pay the electric bill from now on, or you will live like an Amish person, and you'll need a job because you will start paying more each month, or I will start bringing stuff to your mom's house. Thanks, love ya. He grumbled a little, but didn't argue. Commenter 1. You are dating a hobosexual, kick him out. Commenter 2. He has never lived independently, always with a girlfriend or roommate. He doesn't have a job either, he's stressed, and trying to get to a better place before job hunting. I agreed to supporting him for a few months. Yes, it was a legit reason to not work, but those few months have been well over a year, and my patience and niceness has worn off. So Reddit, is there something I'm missing? Your boyfriend is a lazy, entitled individual who finds people to take care of him so he doesn't have to grow up and take care of himself. You're his latest caretaker. That's what you're missing. Is that all you want to be? This man's mommy? Commenter 3. He's using you. You know it, and he's trying to twist it and guilt you into doubting this very obvious fact. PH, the fact that he is 36 and has never lived alone is very telling. Guaranteed if you break up and kick him out, he'll find someone else to mooch off of instead. Classic hobosexual. Commenter 4. He is gaslighting you. Open your eyes. He needs to contribute too. Relationship works from both sides, not just one side. If he quits therapy and doesn't try anything, I guess you should end things. Stories number 19. My in-laws won't leave me 35F alone, even though my husband 32M is divorcing me. My husband 32M is divorcing me for his mistress. His parents insist on staying with me 35F. And they are nice people but very intrusive. I disagree with the way they bulldoze their way over my ideas of childcare, so I am forced to leave my home and go rent somewhere else, because I'm too nice to tell them to get lost. Also, they have been nice to me too, very supportive and nice. It's just that you don't necessarily need to stay with the first nice person you see out there, right? So I'm leaving and they're asking for keys to my new place. See, this is why I'm running away. It's because they are so intrusive and have no idea what boundaries are in case of emergencies. Help. I need creative ways to be super nice in rejecting them, but not making them feel offended. They cannot know that I'm running from them. I have already tried saying the landlord does not allow key duplication, and they immediately laughed that off. I need super nice people, please. I cannot afford to be mean to them because they have cared for me like a daughter under their roof for the past 8 years. Besides, I don't want things to turn ugly since the divorce still isn't finalized yet, and I need them to stay on my side. Edit. If anyone wants the wall of text explanation why I'm leaving, it's in the comments. Sorry, this is the TLDR version. Edit. And why I can't just evict them? Because I don't want them to turn hostile in the divorce proceedings and give my husband ammunition to use anything against me. They are firmly on my side at the moment, and adamant that I need to fight him. To get as much child support and alimony I can get, I'm not naive enough to expect they stay on my side throughout, but I do hope they can at least maintain neutral and not become hostile witnesses to screw things up for me. Plus, the property is in the joint names of my husband and myself. He has equal rights to the property too. I can't just evict his guests. Comments. Commenter 1. Tell them that their son hurt you too much. You need time and space from everyone to get over all the hurt, to get over the future not being what you imagined anymore. Cry if you can. Yes, they cared for you, but they are likely still here because they want access to their grandchildren. Protect yourself and your peace. Commenter 2. This is what I would tell them. I need to start standing on my own. For the kids and for myself. We appreciate all that you do for us, and I want to invite you frequently. It's important for me to be independent and comfortable as I transition to my new life as a single parent. Commenter 3. As a grandfather and a great-grandfather, my advice is to share with them how devastated you are of their son's betrayal of your sacred marriage, expressing to them how appreciative you are of their support and how much you love them. Then gently say, I think you will understand what I'm about to tell you because of what your son has done. I need space from not only him from you. Don't get me wrong, you're in my heart and always will be. And I want you to be in the baby's life so that this child can grow up and have great love toward you, as I do. That said, I think you can understand that I'm hurting so deeply inside, and I need my space. I know you are hurting too. You will always be this child's grandparents, and I'm so thankful for that. Big grandpa hug to you and good luck. Reply. That's super nice and sweet. I love it. It's not going to be a 100% solution because they are very stubborn, but it could help some. Thank you so much. Commenter 4. You probably need to have a conversation that goes something like this. I appreciate the extra care you're taking of me and the kids. I'm sure that in a divorce situation like this, you're worried that your access to your grandchildren might be reduced. So I want you to know that I value the relationship you have with my kids, and I'll never do anything to stand between you and them. I need to live on my own now because I have to get used to being a single parent. Your help has been immeasurable, and I don't know what I'd do without you. But I know that for the future, in order to be strong for my kids, have to learn how to do things alone. Stories number 20. My 27 FBF 26M is disappointed in me because of the way I do makeup. How does this make sense? I get, he likes glamorous women, which he mentioned to me before, and I do wear more makeup than I normally would when I'm with him. But I'm a very happy woman with just natural makeup most of the time. Recently I thought I found a balance of doing a full face while still looking pretty natural, and thought it looked really nice, and I get so many compliments at work. But then my BF told me he gets disappointed in me with the way I do my makeup. Disappointed he would get. Being disappointed in me if I refuse to work, or be clean, or if I cheated on him. But what the hell? Over makeup? He has expressed he wanted me in his future and possibly marriage, but it all sounds like a joke now. The moment I get my first wrinkle, we'll break up. I don't know how to deal with this. I've refused to interact or meet him for 2 days now. And though I miss him, the thought of seeing him feels even worse. He apologized and insisted he chose the wrong words, and it's not what he meant, but what he said was pretty clear and unambiguous. Any thoughts? Edit. I have sent him pictures of some male K-pop idols and told him to do his makeup like that. Or I will be very disappointed. I told him there are many resources on the web for beginners, and until he does it we cannot meet. Comments. Commenter. 1. You don't need advice, you've got your head on completely straight. This is a superficial and unserious person. Life and relationships are about more than looks. It's easy for him to be disappointed when you spend the time and money getting made up, and he gets the benefits. This isn't something you compromise on. This isn't something a rational, caring person would dare ask someone they claim to love. Reply, I know I'm not in the wrong. I don't think he is a bad person who doesn't care about me, but this really hurt. And I feel like I can't be natural in front of him. We have a lot of good moments, but once in a while issues like this pop up, and it makes me feel like I'm not feminine or woman enough. I try my best, but he never sees it. TBH, I don't want to break up, but I feel like I can't trust him to stick by me if this is all he takes to be disappointed by me. Commenter 2. If he likes heavy makeup, then he should wear heavy makeup. You're not his personal Barbie styling head dump, this shallow weirdo. Commenter 3. I bet going out in public without any makeup on would appall him. Any man who wants a woman constantly done up does not deserve that. Woman. Reply. He said I'm not wearing anything when I've got very obvious eyeliner and full face. He has a sister and a mother. I don't understand. Stories number 21. My 31F husband, 34M, wants biological children and is acting resentful towards our adopted daughter. How do I fix this? My husband and I adopted a little girl 3 years ago. She is now 6 years old and the brightest ball of sunshine, genuinely sweet and lively. Lately, though, my husband has completely changed in the way he treats her, and changed his views on what we initially agreed on. To explain. I have always wanted children, but it was always with adoption in mind. It is not due to infertility. It is just what I wanted to do, due to different reasons. I have told my husband as much in the past, and although he didn't understand why at first, he came around to the idea, and seemed excited too. So we decided to adopt, and at first, he seemed genuinely happy and was a loving father to her. For roughly the past year, though, he has started acting weird. It started with him making comments about how he would like to have biological children. It was never something big, just offhanded, but I still found it weird and told him as much. He stopped doing it, but around the same time, he started acting more dismissive towards our daughter. He stopped spending as much time with her inside, and especially outside of the house, rarely taking her anywhere anymore, and it got so bad that he even dismissed her when she tried to get him to play or spend time with her. I talked to him about it, and he just said he was stressed. It got better for a while, but then the same happened again. And this is how it had been going for the past couple months. So at one point I decided to talk to him, not asking him to do better, but just understand what was wrong. He told me that although he loved our daughter, as a man he craved to have his own biological children, and that our daughter is old enough to have a younger sibling now, and that we should try for one. I told him the same thing. I said years ago and several times after that I did not want that, and reminded him that back then he was okay with that too. He said that his bond with our daughter would get stronger if we had a biological child, and I was so incredibly angry and heartbroken. I don't know what to do. I don't want to have another child, and I hate how he treats our daughter. Now I have thought about counseling, but I'm just wondering if anyone else has gone through the same. At the end of the day, I know I'll put my daughter above all else, and seeing how sad she's been lately just breaks my heart. I feel like a complete failure as a mother, and would honestly appreciate any insight from people that have gone through anything like this. Stories number 22. I 26F think my husband 30M will never sexually satisfy me. And being a virgin when we met ruined that. My husband and I have been married for 4 years this year. We met beginning of 2019. He was my first and only boyfriend and sexual partner. I grew up in purity culture and was only in those spaces until I met him. He has had other sexual partners and relationships before me. At first, I was so into our sexual relationship because, well, I think it's 'cause it's all I knew, and, him being sexual for the first time, how awesome. He started out really attentive and taught me a lot, let me go at my pace, and everything was consensual, and I felt heard, safe at every turn. That is and has never been an issue. The real issue is a few things. First, He actually has never really made me orgasm. I think I thought he was at first. But as I explored with him, I finally explored myself alone. And it wasn't until us being engaged I realized, wow, that's an orgasm and sex is so much more fun when I get off too. So, to this day, my husband has only made me orgasm twice, and only because I got myself to the edge, and he joined in to finish the job. That's been fine. I don't need to get off to enjoy it. I don't really care to finish as long as we both had a good time and end satisfied, but also, I wish I didn't have to ask to orgasm, and he'd offer it or work for it. This has been communicated over several years, which leads to Dilemma 2. I'm mostly just pleasuring him or doing the work these days, and despite communicating that I'd want it more mutual, sitting him down, explaining in the moment, texting him, ect. Anytime I try to initiate or he does, it's always him asking me to just give him a BJ, or at least start with a BJ to get him in the mood. BJs are fine. Not my favorite, but I love him and can compromise. But once he finishes or is ready to have sex, I'm not in the mood anymore. Or he finishes and I wanted to have sex, and have him be turned on at the same time, not be finished, and feel like I'm the afterthought. So then I just give up, or feel like I have to beg for him to please me even a little. Every time he initiates, it's never me focused. It's a hand job, or he wants me on top, and, although it's embarrassing, I have bad asthma, and I can't perform very long or need to take some breaks. Breaks without him pleasuring me turn me off, because we just wait for me to breathe well again. LMFAO, he has not eaten me out in over a year. Any time my initiation starts with me being treated sexually first, or it's suggested at all he does oral, he denies me. It's fine to be denied. I just don't understand, and maybe something is up. I keep really clean. I don't think I have any issues going on. I just feel like sex has been him-focused for our entire relationship, and that was fine for him since he knew I had no idea what I was doing. And now that I've found what I like or want to be involved way more, it's not interesting to him maybe? I rarely get a yes to sex from him, and if I do, it's only if I offer something he wants and is satisfied from. Communicated this multiple times to him and have had what I thought were breakthroughs over the last 4 years, only to fall back into this self-centered sex cycle. How many times do we have to talk about it before he either gets it through his head that I deserve some of my sexual wants met, or I just give up? The worst part is the rest of our marriage is great. We truly don't argue or struggle to communicate except on this. We both mutually are okay with watching porn and getting off on our own, but I would like sex, I want to be satisfied by sex, and I just don't know if we truly are sexually compatible anymore. But we are compatible in every other aspect. One of my friends said he groomed me, which feels very aggressive, but maybe I'm blind. Another friend said he trained me to like sex how he likes it, and is now disappointed I figured it out. This is not him in any way or his personality. He truly is wonderful. We never fight. We work well together emotionally, financially, humor, respect. I just literally can't get good me-centered. Or mutual-centered sex. I'll answer any questions. This has really been bothering me, and I'm open to any and all advice, suggestions, TLDR. My husband only initiates or accepts sex if it starts out focused on him, and he never really makes me orgasm despite having multiple conversations of what I need. Over the last 4 years, my friends, think he took advantage of me being a virgin, anything sexual when we met. At what point do I just give up on having a good sex life, or is there something I can do?